We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, your go-to sports podcast featuring great content, conversation, and your occasional disagreement. Stick around to interact and ask questions. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime. Good morning, all. Week 11 NFL pregame on the Sports Box. Brian Attar, Tony Quigley, Anthony Medio, Drew Trammell, your normal cast of characters, bringing you pregame for it should be a very interesting week. There's a couple high lines in this week's slate of games, which we'll get into. A couple of our teams are involved in those high lines, but just I want to give a quick shout out to Drew Trammell and his team on Game Winning Drive with their 100th episode this past Tuesday night. Drew, congrats to you and the work you and Alex and your team are doing. It's wonderful stuff. If you're missing it, you are only doing yourself a disservice.
And I just want to reiterate the best thing that happened to Tuesdays on the Sports Box.
Drew, how's that coffee? Let's have your coffee.
Yeah, that's good, dude. It's good coffee. Thanks for the shout out. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, man, it's been a whirlwind of a week because I had a couple people reach out on Wednesday say that I was probably one of the greatest shows we've ever done. It worked out great. I wish I could have got Quig on there. It would have been even better with those debates that we had. Ant, appreciate your support. Appreciate everybody's support, man. It was fun, dude. Unfortunately, it was a whirlwind of emotions. I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine that passed away. We laid her to rest on Friday. Her name's I call her No, but her name is Norina. And beautiful, beautiful Samoan lady that I grew up with that was like a mentor to me in church. I just want to give her love and her flowers, and we're going to miss her. So I just want to give a shout out to her and her family and what they're going through.
Rest in peace to her. Very, very it's unfortunate. Whenever somebody passes on early, it's unfortunate, for sure. We'll kick it off on this Sunday, powered by the Sports Box Network, with a very impactful game in Baltimore as the Ravens take down the Bengals 34-20. Lamar Jackson 16-26 for 264 and 2 touchdowns. Gus Edwards continues to score for you, 12 for 62 and 2 touchdowns. Coming out of this game, though, Joe Burrow out for the season. Mark Andrews out for the season. Very, very impactful injuries. It's very easy to say that the Burrow injury has a lot of impact on the Bengals. That obviously, right? But guys, what are we thinking about this Ravens passing offense without Lamar's safety valve in Mark Andrews?
Well, that game, it looked like he grabbed a new safety valve in ODB, Odell Beckham Jr. He wants we look to him often. So maybe he'll start running some of those routes that Andrews was occupying in that space and those option routes and stuff like that. But I don't know how we lead with the Ravens passing game when Joe Burrow's out for the season. Come on, that's the story here.
Well, because the Bengals are now done, the Ravens are not. That's why we're leading with it, because the Bengals are now, it's on to next year as far as I'm concerned.
Well, right, but that's tragic. I don't know if that has more of an impact and shows something about the Thursday night games. This is the first Thursday night game that looked like it was a good matchup. Now, are these injuries a product of the short week? I saw a stat this week after the Burrow injury was that Andrew Luck and him took about the same amount of hits already, and Andrew Luck's retired, and I think Burrow's injury is a little bit difficult, but Burrow is getting beat up back there for a franchise quarterback, and that's bad news. And that's the recipe for the Bengals so far has been Burrow's season being ruined by injuries. So that's more the thing that I think they're going to have to figure out, because they have a great window and a great upside. I think he's everybody's number 2 ranked passer, as far as quarterback off the board.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yeah, for me, man, the two biggest storylines for me is obviously Joe Burrow being out. This just pretty much takes him out of the running, arguably the hottest team heading into Thursday night. Joe Burrow was playing out of his mind. We all talked about it. That calf injury was absolutely destroying him. It wasn't making him right. It wasn't making him efficient. Since that, I forgot what game it was where I think it was Arizona, right, Brian? Since that Arizona game, he was, like Tony said, he was in the top 5 in all categories that you're looking for. The same old Joe Burrow that we all come to love and enjoy since his days in LSU. Now this stigma is going to follow him, Brian. Is he injury prone? Is it a freak accident? Is it something that we really needed to talk and discuss about? He's missed as much games as Deshaun Watson has in the last 2 years. I mean, it's getting to a point of his days in college where he actually was injury prone. He didn't make a lot of starts. So that stigma is unfortunately going to follow him as we head to the 24th season. The Cincinnati Bengals should tank. They should not try and make a run. I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be, excruciating at times for fans, but this reminds me of the San Francisco 49ers when Jimmy G got hurt and they ended up getting probably arguably one of the top 2 edge rushers in the game in Nick Bosa. So I know that there's no light right now, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel for Cincinnati. This might be a blessing in disguise for them, and we'll see moving forward. I want to talk to Lamar Jackson a little bit. He's evolving. He's becoming a better passer, and it sucks that his safety valve, top 3 tight end in the NFL, is gone. Do we need to ban hit drop tackles? We also saw it with yesterday with Jordan Travis at FSU. He completely broke his ankle. I don't know why sources were saying, "Oh, I hope it isn't as bad as it looks." You guys are idiots.
I saw that.
Dumbasses. That thing was welling in the middle of the air, and I feel terrible for him. It sucks. So these hip drop tackles, that might be another thing, a point of emphasis for the NFL and the PA to come out and say, "Oh, we got to ban this too," which makes it physically impossible for defenses again to play the game. So this is a barbaric game. And people are just forgetting, like, it needs to be safety ever since CTE came out. And I understand and I get it, but they know what they sign up for. This is what we do. This is football, folks. This isn't flag. And we're leaning towards that way. And that's what scares me as a fan and someone that loves football, is I don't want to see this. If you're gonna ban these tackles, that's fine. But then you need to understand that other things that are going on, the player fines and all that, the most they find in years for players. Players are losing money over stupid nonsense, and the NFL needs to come to an understanding that this shouldn't be happening. We're taking the focus away from the game. It needs to be about the game. The final thing I'll say is in this only, Lamar Jackson is killing it, and he's playing great football right now. I think all of us would agree he's probably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL today, and he's playing way better than Trevor Lawrence. He's playing way better than Josh Allen. That needs to be talked about. Also, the last thing for me, man, is Gus Edwards. Completely, he reminds you a lot of Garrett Blount, where he got 18 touchdowns that one season with New England. That's what Baltimore is doing. They're getting that rotation device. No J.K. Dobbins, as he tore his Achilles or his ACL, I believe, early in the season, and it's been a streamroll of rolling. OBJ of late, like Tone said, he looked great. He looks good. I hope his shoulder's okay, Quig. I don't know. I don't know if it's just a stinger or not, but he looked at OBJ of old. And it's going to be interesting moving forward to see how this is going to work out and all that for Baltimore, because this is a blessing in disguise for my team, because Cincinnati was in the mix. Now that's the one team, the less team we have to worry about in the wild card race. It's going to be interesting moving forward at the end of the NFC North.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all the time we have today, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I mean, really just stick a fork in the Bengals. It's a shame. I was looking forward to this game. And yeah, just the injuries just devastating to the Bengals. It's over. So yeah, like Brian, I agree with you. Move on to next year, and I actually agree with you winning games. I mean, what's the point right now? I mean, just gather those picks and make a better team. I mean, you talk about Barrow. You talk about Barrow. Getting hit. I mean, you have to protect him, and you look back, Jamar Chase or Penny Sewell. You know what I mean? So now you see, maybe you got to re-up that line, get some picks this year, and move on. So as far as the Ravens, I think they'll be okay. I mean, each week you see their passing game getting better. I think Isaiah Likely is a good target. He'll be a good target. He's a really good player. So I think they'll lose a little bit, but I think Lamar Jackson, like Drew said, just really playing good ball, and their offense looks like each week they're getting better. So Ravens are a team to deal with, definitely.
It's again, where I look for the team to finish 5-12 or 6-11 and get as close as possible to that would be to go out there and get some offensive line help, because they made the decision and Joe was involved in that decision to draft Jamar Chase where they took him. Penny Sewell, I read his stats, allowed like 1 sack in his career in Detroit.
No, in the last 2 years, he's only allowed 1 sack, or last season and a half, 1 sack, and I believe it's below 5 pressures. And he's played a different position than he played from college.
That's the kind of guy that you can build for 15 years. I'm taking nothing away from Jamar Chase, but again, it's this game. The more the game changes, the more the game stays the same. It is a game that is won in the trenches. If you can protect that quarterback, you do not need an elite level receiver to get production because he has a lot of time. Drew, go ahead.
I want to ask the question to the panel, especially Quigg. Quigg's usually on the money when it comes to this stuff. Cincinnati Bengals have a hard question to answer this offseason. Do they not re-sign or franchise tag T. Higgins?
Yeah.
That's going to be very important moving into the offseason. Do they go? Because I hope they don't go draft a receiver, because I know the draft coming up is going to be very interesting for a lot of teams, including Ant. But it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to franchise tag him for the money, because I think the money's around like $24 million for 1 year. So it's going to be, that's like one of my biggest questions. So I want to know what you guys think. Is that going to be something that the Bengals will be doing, is franchise tagging him, or are they just going to let him go?
I think he walks.
Yeah, I'd let him go. I mean, I think you have a really good quarterback that could develop a receiver, or
I agree.
You could find one. I mean,
so T. Higgins was a high 2 who should have been a Green Bay Packer, I might add, but he wasn't.
Agree.
You can go spend a 2, which could be a decently high 2, on a wide receiver and fill it up again. Like, you have the quarterback to be able to get the most out of a player like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even Tyler Boyd has his huge games in Cincinnati, right? So I would not put the money into that position. I'd rather see him put the money into protecting Joe Burrow.
Is T. Higgins the number 1 receiver?
No.
So you don't franchise him?
I don't think he is, Tone.
It's really just that simple. He's not a number 1. You don't franchise him. If he doesn't know his role, and if he thinks that another team is going to invest the number 1 money in him to make him a number 1 receiver, then he's going to have to perform. And I don't, maybe he will.
It's got Carolina written all over it.
Carolina.
It's got it written all over it. Like,
desperate. Yep.
Which is good because there's no assets given up, right? This whole talk about them going after a receiver this year made no sense to begin with.
Oh, no, yeah, that would be the way better move. Yeah, for sure.
So, a lot of pain in no. Burrow and Watson both out for the season now, which we talked last week about, who would fall out of the NFC and AFC North playoff.
Well, just open it up again, right?
Yeah. The Steelers are sneaking right in there, right?
Tony was very vehement that Pittsburgh is really bad football team.
It's really unbelievable, right? So and we talked about this briefly. So just a couple questions here, right? Can either one of these 2 teams sneak into the playoffs? What does it mean for the rest of the AFC playoff field? And in both of their cases, should they be looking to the outside to bring in a free agent quarterback? And if so, who?
Well, I think, like I said before, Myles Garrett has been the best player in probably the NFL, should be the MVP, should be able to carry his defense and bring him to the win. Cleveland's going to DTR, which is interesting. I watched the kid play a lot in UCLA. He was a freshman. He had, I think he started as a freshman out there with Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
Started week 4, I believe it was, to mix results. If they want to embrace an offense to a true running game around them and try to do ball control with defense, that's a philosophy in the NFL that has worked in the past. He's going to have to just play less air football. There are teams winning right now. Minnesota with no quarterback at all. I mean, or bad quarterback play. Like I said, quarterback play has been so bad in the NFL. You have C.J. Stroud in the MVP race, a rookie, and that's kind of unheard of. And Yeah, so I think if they could just kind of do ball control and run the ball with the defense, I think that's where it is. The kid Thursday night for to replacement Burrow, AJ, what's up, buddy? There we go. Don't we all?
Class action.
Yeah.
Or how about the over receptions on Mark?
Mark Andrews too.
Yeah, but I think Cleveland has an outside shot to play run control defense, that kind of stuff with DTR, maybe providing some excitement with his legs. Cincinnati it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be real tough.
I think they got to roll with DTR and see what they have. I mean, if anything, they're going to need some kind of backup quarterback next year when Watson comes back. So I mean, if the coaching staff feels like he's the guy to roll with, I mean, you got to go with what you have. So I mean, again, like Tony said, rely on the defense, run the ball. They're going to be in a lot of games because of their defense. So it's going to be tough for them to get in, but I think that's their only choice. There's no guy out there. I mean, I saw things on Twitter about Joe Flacco. He had a workout, right? Yeah. So I mean,
he declined.
That's not even.
Yeah.
I mean,
Blair, he played last week.
Yeah, he actually looked good too.
Yeah, he actually did look good.
So yeah, I mean, rolling with DTR. I mean, I think that's their only option, really.
Blair, Kyler played last Sunday.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, you did. And it's interesting, man, because before the season started in training camp, guess who they had in the backup role? Josh Dobbs. And they had a chance to trade for him before the trade deadline, before Minnesota swooped in and got him. And it's just crazy how that works, right? In football, it's just like you had something in your backyard, just treat it well. They
threw him away. They threw him away
like a rabid dog, dude.
Yeah, but
who knew this was gonna happen? I know. I'm just saying hindsight's from. I get it, but it's just funny.
He's also not that good.
Works like that.
He didn't play. He played decent in Arizona a couple weeks, and he was awful in what he's doing in Minnesota. So I don't think they're having buyer's remorse.
It's the flavor of the week.
It's interesting that DTR is getting the start over PJ. I'm a little interested in that, but yeah, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got moving forward. I still think Cleveland's defense is gonna keep them a lot of games, right? I mean, that's the top. I don't think it's number 1 or number 2 defense ranked in the NFL, but it's up there. I'm with Quig, and man, if they get to the playoffs, Brian, just throw the MVP to Myles Garrett. If he does anything remotely close to just crazy numbers, and to keep this defense, keep this team in the hunt from 4 weeks now, you have to put him in consideration or put him close, because there's absolutely no offensive player that really comes to my mind where it's like, oh, it's clear cut. He's it. You might want to throw in Tyreek Hill, but he's been shut out a couple of games or hasn't been the same. So he's dropped in the rankings. It's CJ Stroud unless he has a bad game. That's really comes to my mind. But
no, it hurts.
Hurts, yeah.
Dak.
Dak is playing good.
Your boy, Dak.
For Deshaun Watson, 30% without including the suspension games, right? 30% as a starter that he has missed games. That's a staggering number. People are trying to claim that Matt Stafford was injury prone. Matt Stafford's only missed 13% of his games. Deshaun Watson's missed 30. That's a lot. That's a lot of games, fellas.
I think those numbers were inflated because of some of the time off and that kind of stuff, though, too.
That's a lot of guaranteed money. That's all I know.
Well, when you haven't had a quarterback in forever. I mean, again, we always say, like, if you hit, it's worth everything. So I don't look at the trade that the Browns made as other. I mean, look, it was absolutely a desperate move. But how do you not do that if you can? At that point,
I think it's a worse trade than Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but you're saying that now. What did you say at the time?
Well, I mean, I've been saying it since massage days. I mean, I don't know if that's still going.
Again, I don't.
Too much controversy for me to trade somebody
That's
like
fine.
that.
I don't think his issue is one of talent. I think it's all between the ears. I think he very well may not get over missing a year.
I don't think you'll ever see the Watson that we saw.
We may not. We absolutely.
No, we're not going to see the Watson in Houston. No, I don't either.
That may never happen again.
Listen, the guy needed something to relax, and you guys took it away from him. So
now
his mind's not right.
Depressed. He got depressed. Can't play football anymore.
Listen, a couple of us here are Cowboys fans, and we know what happened in the '90s with the White House and everything like that. Whatever gets their mind right to win, right? I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me. Do whatever you want.
I'll finish with that. I think it's gonna be tough for Cleveland to get into the playoffs, obviously, without a quarterback. But they have won games this season without Deshaun. So it's going to be tough as the season goes. But, man, Pittsburgh Steelers got to be smiling from year to year. It's just crazy.
Oh, they're underdogs today.
Yeah, they are.
They are. We'll talk. They're like.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But yeah.
The door. The Red Seas have parted. Like it's theirs for the taking. That's the crazy part, right?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
It's just it's wild. I mean, I know the Browns were looking at Joe Flacco. Like, I don't think that makes any sense. I think that I get it. I think the Bengals should just kind of just ride it out. You know, I mean, at this point, I don't know. I don't think that's worth. Even if you find a way to barely sneak in at 9-8 or something like that, you're not going anywhere.
And we've talked about their defense on the road. So
yeah.
you'd have for them to do anything, they would have to be at home in their environment, and you're not going to see that. You know what I mean?
NFL, you can't tank though. I mean, yes, you could try, but it's the players out on the field on tanking.
And I get it.
Yeah, you're right about that. Absolutely.
What are you, Miami?
You can find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Speaking of more things,
Brian Flores.
Yeah. The more things change, the more they stay the same. The New York Jets are expected to try and swing a trade for Davante Adams in the offseason to reunite him with Aaron Rodgers and the chemistry they had in Green Bay. So,
I know. Hold on, Brian, you're burying the lead here. It came out now that Rodgers is coming back week 16.
Maybe.
It did.
That's the earliest he can come back.
I mean, they're not even going to be in the mix. I don't even know why he's coming back.
I think, but he's one of those guys that I think he can say, I came back from an Achilles in the same season.
Yes, that's what he's trying to do.
It's all ego with him, which is fine. I have no problem with that.
I think it's hilarious.
They're 4-5. They're in the mix.
I mean,
will they be in week 16? I don't know, but at 4-5 now, you can't say they're not in the mix.
At 4-5, they're one game out of the playoff spot.
That is that's crazy. I mean, can't see them being in the mix.
I'll tell you right now, if they get Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson,
that's a problem.
That's like, I mean, those guys complement each other beautifully.
Yeah.
The question to me is what would that trade require? And that does not solve their main issue heading into the offseason, which is offensive line help. So that's that. I mean, we can see it. I know Zach Wilson is absolutely playing like crap, but my God, that kid does not have time.
Yeah, he don't get any love.
I see a couple of games, man. It's a 1-2. It's either a 3 or 5 step drop, Brian. That's where the quarterback drops back 5 steps, and Brian. And they do a 5-style drop, and it's literally bam. I mean, they lost their best interior lineman, ABJ. Yeah, ABJ, and it hasn't been good since. So this is an issue the Jets need to fix more than they need to worry about Davante Adams. They got to fix that interior line so old boy doesn't tear his other foot and his other Achilles when he comes back or when he plays next year. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be fixed. But I don't expect them to be in the mix. I know the AFC is really bad, but I don't. They got a tough. They got 2 more games. They got 2 games with Miami. They got a game with the Buffalo Bills. I know they destroyed Josh Allen, but I think that's more just Josh Allen playing like shit this year. And then it's those 3 games alone is going to be tough games. And then I don't know the rest of the schedule, but it's going to be tough, Brian. It's going to be tough.
Here's the thing, right? if I'm the Raiders, I have to make a decision on what direction I'm going to go. Am I going to try to contend now, or am I going to try to rebuild? Because again, like I don't know what the Jets. I mean, the Jets are going to have their number one pick. They didn't give to Green Bay. They're going to have that,
crazy.
Right? Because he's not going obviously not
crazy.
going to play 2/3 of the stats, right? So that could be the centerpiece, but that might all be all it takes. This took a 1 and a 2 2 years ago. What's it going to take now? He's older on a bad deal.
The Raiders first have to find a coach and a GM before they do any kind of move.
I mean, they've been looking for that for 10 years. I mean,
they came out this morning saying it's more than likely it's going to be Antonio Pierce in the interim GM.
Well, yeah, they messed that up once. So I mean, they might not.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch the energy that they have in that locker room right now.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah. But again, they don't want to win games.
But hold on. But here's the thing, right?
Mark Davis loves to do toy, man. He loves that Vegas stadium.
Wait, so if you're the Jets, right? Like, why are you playing Madden 18 and trying to recreate the Packers that didn't win then?
They don't have Mike McCarthy.
I think their offense is fine without Adams if Rodgers comes back. I mean, like Drew said, you invest more in your offensive line. I mean, you have a number one receiver. I mean,
there was a stat when the Jets played the Chargers that Garrett Wilson was open way more if he got the right throws. I'll tell you, the Jets would have made it. Aaron Rodgers would have beaten the Chargers if Aaron Rodgers was playing that game.
If Aaron Rodgers is playing quarterback for the Jets, they're number one in the division.
Yeah, they're having a win.
With the Bills headaches and Miami being not able to beat a good team, I truly believe that. I mean, seeing what we're seeing now with Aaron Rodgers from the last couple of years, even I mean, they're winning the division. You know, I mean, they have playmakers. Hall, Reese, you know, is an absolute stud when he gets the ball, and their offense. Dalvin Cook would be more productive. I mean, it would just, you know. Plus, guys like Alan Lazard would learn how to catch the ball because I guess you can only catch when Aaron Rodgers is throwing them. So, I mean.
Joe, we touched on this. I think it's Aaron's ego. I think Aaron wants to be the first person ever to come back from Achilles in the same season.
Sure.
Well, it's also medical advancements and that kind of stuff, too. I mean, you know.
It's all those dark rooms and hallucinations and makes things better. You know?
Probably PRP treatment, you know, continual rehab, that kind of stuff.
I mean, what he's done so far. I mean, all four of us would agree, right? I mean, it's the way that he was doing step dropbacks and throwing the ball. I was just like, dude, that's insane. There's no way, bro. Like it took Kobe. It took Kobe like 4 months just to be able to walk right without a boot on. This guy's doing it in advance. It's insane. It's insane. That was a miracle.
Cam Akers had an Achilles, came back same year?
Yeah.
Oh, he came back.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Well, he came back in the playoffs.
He was miserable.
If it's a clean tear, I mean, it is more, you know, they kind of got the procedure done. And unfortunately, mine wasn't a clean tear. And I had it, you know, I know firsthand of it. So.
How long did it take for you to get off the boot?
Well, but my injury was completely different than what Aaron Rodgers had, even though it's an Achilles tear. What happened with Rodgers is it was just, you know, in most of these Achilles, it's just a quick tear, and they reattach it. They reattach the tendon, and it kind of goes. What happened to me is my Achilles exploded, and they had to make a new one out of my calf and my foot, you know. So it's like a completely different injury. But I mean, yeah, there's no way I would have been able to play in the same season. But
how long were you out until you start running? Did you start running?
It was close to a year because of other issues and stuff like that. I mean, I still have problems today. So it's what I had and what Rodgers and these guys have. It's not really
completely different. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's just you know.
If they're not in it though, it's risky to put them behind an offensive line that's really not that.
And that's a fair point too. Yeah, that was
you're risking next year.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Man. And they're leaving it up, and they're leaving it up to him. They're not making the decision, so it's like it's kind of weird. It's risky. Even if it's like a clean tear and it was repairable, I still think it's.
Anything bringing the heat today? I appreciate it, bud. Well, no, it's yeah. I think he's right with saying it's ego related. You know, Aaron Rodgers is a lot about ego. I mean, you know, you could see.
Oh yeah.
And there's something I think He played in Brady's shadow his entire career. He came out of Favre's shadow, then I played in Brady's shadow, and he is one of the greatest of all times, and he does have a chip on his shoulder. And the reason why he does have why he's one of the greatest of all times is he does have a chip on his shoulder, and I think this would be something to add to his legacy. And I'm not mad at it.
He's had plenty of opportunities to sneak up on Brady and get up Brady's status, and he just completely failed. So
you ain't lying there, brother.
He's had plenty of opportunities. No, I don't
want to. We did this argument on this past Tuesday. Who's the top 5 greatest quarterbacks of all time? And I had Rodgers fourth, and people are going to laugh because he's an asshole and he's egotistical outside of football. This and that. I don't give a shit. Can you win me games and can you be productive and talented? And you cannot tell me with a straight face that Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest generational talent quarterbacks of all time.
True.
You had to face him twice a year.
Drew, there's teams that went into Green Bay during the playoffs being a lower seed that's come out in a victory against Aaron Rodgers.
I agree with you.
So, like I said,
well, did that take away from
he's a great talent, great arm talent, great this, great that, but he's failed. One Super Bowl, and I can't say he's a failure. One Super Bowl, but he's had plenty of opportunities to be up right under Brady. So
are you saying that he's not in your personal top 10?
Top 10? He's a top 10.
I have him too.
Top 5.
I have him number 2. Talent perspective, I think Manning just saw the game differently than anybody ever did. Look, Brady has most rings. He always will. That's never going to change. But it wasn't winning as quarterback. It was best. I view it differently. But anyway.
I love hearing people's different perspectives on it. It's great.
Oh, who do you have number 1, Brian?
Peyton Manning.
Fucking dumbass.
Thank you. Well, look, we'll see. We'll see if Aaron Rodgers can recover from his Achilles injury.
And you have Rodgers number 2.
Yes.
He has Brady 3.
Brady was 3.
Who was 4, Brian?
Montana.
5?
Marino.
Okay. No love for John Elway. Man, people do not like him.
I think I agree with your top 5, not in that order, obviously, but
I agree with the top. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. What's the beauty of opinions, right? Anyway, like I said, we'll see if Aaron Rodgers can come back from his Achilles injury. I'd like to know if Arthur Smith can come back from a brain injury because they're reportedly going back to Desmond Ridder over Taylor Heineke after the bye week. Desmond Ridder has 6 touchdowns and 6 picks with 7 fumbles. Heineke's got 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, no fumbles. The question here, guys, is does Arthur Smith know how to tie his shoes? Because I don't know what the hell's going on. Are you tanking? That's fine. Just tell me that. Right?
Heineke's not. Is he hurt?
4-6.
Is Heineke hurt?
Oh. He jacked up his hamstring last Sunday.
That's why Ridder came in, right?
Yeah. He jacked up his hamstring.
But no, this is like they prefer Desmond Ridder, and Arthur Smith is going to play.
I think this is what is going on here, and right is just because Ridder has not been good, and Heineke's been not as expected either because he's always been a game burnout guy, always been kind of not high on, but I think he's competent just like some of these other guys. I think this is like kind of like Ridder's last shot to kind of prove himself in Atlanta. I think they just said, "Listen, we're gonna put Ridder out there, and we're gonna ride with him and see." And if not, I think this is a full commitment to the evaluation process. They tried Heineke, nothing really sparked. I think that could have been a lot to do with Bijan Robinson not getting the ball and all their talent on offense not getting the ball. But love seeing those Cordell Patterson runs, which make no damn sense. But that's what I'm saying. So I think they're just going back. They're just going back to Ridder to see.
Oh God!
Yeah, I mean, this is probably
how old is that man, dude?
This is probably above Arthur Smith. They're probably telling him to play Ridder. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. I mean, I actually like their chances better with Heineke. I kind of don't get it either, unless like we talked about, he's hurt.
Have you ever?
This is the same Arthur Smith that couldn't give us an explanation why Bijan Robinson getting carried till the end of the fourth quarter. What are we doing? It makes no effing sense. I know you have something to say, Brian, but This is just idiotic. If this isn't taking visibly as much as we ever seen, that's what they're doing. Their plans is gonna be it's altered.
That's fine.
You drafted Bijan Robinson in the top 10 pick. Why are you not using him? I can say the same thing to the Detroit Lions about Gibbs, but at least they use him. They're not even using Bijan. So, like, why did you draft him?
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the half-year MVP, or you want to go Myles Garrett. I think they're the two.
Taylor Swift. So, but here's the part.
CJ Stroud.
Probably. You spend top 10 picks on a receiver, a tight end, and a running back, and now are you tanking for a quarterback?
Why would they sign Kirk Cousins? That's what the rumor's been the whole time.
I just don't. You are building your team ass backwards, because by the time your quarterback's in year 3, Bijan needs a deal. Drake London needs a deal. Kyle Pitts needs a deal. I don't get it. I don't get it. Make it make sense to me. The guy's an idiot, a total idiot.
If you're Kyle Pitts, you're out.
Why would you?
Yeah, I'm not.
Why would you?
No way you signed there. There's no way.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that I gotta give him respect, man. He hasn't even came out and complained once about the usage he's getting and the lack of production, the lack of consistency. Because my God, y'all remember when he came out, how high rated he was. I mean, he was supposed to be this and this and that and that, and it sucks. It sucks when you're not used right.
I don't think he cares about winning. I don't think he's. I mean, I Pitts is a freak talent, but the motor and the opportunity, and everything like that, just he's just kind of there. He's getting his check. There's no leadership.
How was he in college? Was he like a spoken out type of guy, or was he very?
He went to Florida.
Yeah,
put it down.
That's right. I forgot. Swamp Kings.
He was a gay tur.
Well, 25% of the league has 3 wins or less.
It's a battle, Brian. It's a battle. Oh, there he goes.
Oh, Brian just left. All right.
It's a battle for those quarterbacks next year. We're paying some high prices.
Don't know what just happened there.
High prices.
So, as I said, quarter of the league has 3 wins or less. Packers, Rams, Titans, Bears, Giants, Cardinals, Patriots, and the Panthers. By the way, the Bears have their pick. Who of these teams do you feel needs to position themselves to get a quarterback the most? We're probably going to agree on some of this, I think. And then who do you think ends up with the top 2 picks of these teams? I need to fix that. There's an extra period in there. There you go.
Ooh.
So here's what I would say. Here's here.
There's a lot of teams.
There are a lot of teams. There are a lot of teams.
A lot of scenarios also.
The teams that I think need a quarterback the most. This is gonna be controversial, I think, in my opinion. Number 1 is the New England Patriots. Number 1, it's. I feel like we're getting to a point where you're gonna just see this public divorce, kind of like I like Tom Brady. Everything's great. We're still friends. We're just gonna go our separate ways. We had our run.
Yeah.
And I think Bill ends up in LA. That's going to be good news for you. But anyway, and I think that they just cut bait. They make the change to a new quarterback with a new everything and just move forward. That's number 1. Number 2, I think, is the New York Giants, because I think that, Danny Dimes was never the pick for them. They felt compelled to get one because they thought Eli was going to be on the way out. And then they loved Justin Herbert. Didn't get Justin Herbert because they couldn't get Dimes. They can use the injury as an excuse to get out of it. That's number 2. Number 3, if it were me, is the Rams longer term. Because I think that they can get out of Stafford and kind of not really rebuild on the fly, but just get that next thing going. If the Rams end up with Caleb Williams, let me tell you, that would be very, very interesting. Again, I'm not predicting it, but I'm saying it could happen. That would, to me, I mean, I could easily say Green Bay because Jordan Love stinks, right? But whatever. I feel as though their GM is committed to him and will go down with that ship and not draft a replacement. That's my take.
Yeah, you want to go?
Yeah, I agree with your three teams. I put the Giants up there first, actually. I think they're the biggest threat to get the number 1 pick this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see them winning any of these games coming up with this DeVito guy. I mean,
DeVito guy.
I think.
Well, he was called Danny DeVito last week, so I thought that was a joke. I thought that was a joke, and
I don't think it was.
It was not a joke.
Yeah.
Yep. Got me laughing. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end the Giants really get the first pick. As a Bears fan, I don't want that. I want to find ourselves in like 1, 2, or 1, 3. So
but the report that I read was that the Bears had to be really bowled over to not keep Fields at this point. That's what I read that earlier today.
Well, Fields is still on your team. You got to say that. I mean, you still got to show some kind of confidence. Especially if you don't want to ruin Fields' trade value either.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Nope. That's why he has to play.
Listen, if they're going to go all in on Fields and you could get all these top picks, I mean, all these quarterbacks, everyone's going to want them. They're going to get a huge haul for them. If not, you're going to get someone like I want Marvin Harrison, who I think is just going to be a flat out straight pick. You know,
so trade your second. Right, if let's say you go 2-3, right? Mm-hmm. Trade your second, and then you have a chance to get
that's what I mean.
A mid-tier first round pick.
If we find ourselves with 2 picks in the top 4, that's what I want to see.
So that was my question to you, man. I'm sorry for the background noise. That's my question to you, Dan. Was if you go, so say we go Giants 1, obviously we all agree Caleb Williams will go to New York. Now you have 2-3, right? You got Carolina at 2, you at 3. If that's what you want, and you want Justin Fields for the foreseeable future or for next year,
yeah,
you're trading that 2 for a ransom.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
What might pay dividends for you in the long run.
Absolutely.
The question is, do you go with Fields or do you go with the other? I'm not like you guys right now. I'm not a big college guy. I know it's May. I know it's another cat in Washington. I don't know their names, but
Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, thank you. Do you go with one of those guys and say, F it, let's start over and do this again? But if you do that, I better get a coach that can give him a system right away.
Yeah, Drew.
Now, my crib to you is if Lincoln Riley's available. If Lincoln Riley's available and said he wants to go to Chicago and he wants to coach Caleb Williams, does that change your mind?
Well, that's not the name I'm hearing after last night. And Harbaugh is actually, there's some chirping about Harbaugh being interested in coming back to the and the Chicago job. And that, as a Michigan fan, that kind of hurts me. But I think right now, Caleb Williams, May, and J.J. McCarthy are clearly players that would have to be targeted above Justin Fields, in any way. I'm fairly sure listen. Fields just hasn't looked as good as he looked last year, and that's extremely troublesome. Troublesome. And it's missing reads. It's strong into football. I mean, last year he showed some ability as far as like athleticism, getting out and cashing in on them. Every week cashing in on the rushing prop. He's just not reading the field right. Injuries, and I think the other two, and Williams, May, and McCarthy, all 3 of them have running ability too. So you're not losing that dual threat possibility.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it boils down to 5 wins. So, I mean, that's not cutting it.
It's hard though.
It's hard. You're right, because of what's been around him. But I mean,
you can.
Starting today is his audition. He's got to prove it. He's got to. I mean, I don't want to see him win. To be honest with you, but I mean, it's just a tough spot, man. I mean, they got a tough decision, but they're also in a good position. It's who they hire. If they choose to move on, it's who they hire.
Back to your question, Brian. For me, it's New England. It's number 2 would be, for me personally, would be Tennessee. because I still believe in the tools that they have around them and their head coach. And number 3 for me would be Green Bay. I'm off the love train. I am completely off the love train. I am not impressed at all with this kid at all. What he has done. He's had 3 years to learn, and it's not profiting. Those are just my quick. I could talk about Chicago all day long, but those are the top 3 for me.
We don't need
quarterback needs.
I need
Has there been a worse tandem with expectations to failure as Jordan Love and Christian Watson?
Oh, it's the worst.
Watson can't catch and he can't do anything anymore. Love can't throw or do anything. I mean, it's
quick. You know. Watson's route running is terrible.
Oh well,
absolutely terrible, bro.
You knew that. You knew that coming in. That
but
was
it's even worse. It's even worse than I thought it would.
You knew, but he was still fast and he could still catch the ball. And he can't get open too often. And when he is open, he doesn't catch the ball.
But don't you agree? But don't you agree that like that GM seems like somebody who was just going to go down with that ship?
Ooh, Green Bay.
They've come this far. Yeah, come this far. Listen, I need Green Bay to miss out on all these quarterbacks. I want to see them just be in misery for a while. So you're not going to hear anything from me about Green Bay.
Yeah, you're right. And they do kind of deserve it. I mean, they go from Favre and Rodgers with a little magic man in the mix there.
Yeah.
You know, they let them be Cleveland for 20 years.
I just something tells me the Giants end up with Drake May. I think that's something's going to happen.
So you think it comes down to Williams?
I think the Giant. I think the way it's going to turn out is pretty much the way that it is right now. I think that Carolina's going to finish dead last. The Bears get the 1 pick. Great deal. I think that the Giants end up with the 2. And I don't know, right? This is the thing.
Dude.
Again, I don't know if the Bears – I think the Bears – look, I don't like Justin Fields that much either, right? But if the Bears end up with that spot, right, if they're at 1 –
so much.
If they're at 1 and 3 –
so much.
If they're at 1 and 3 – if you trade 1 for a haul and use 3 on Marvin Harrison, like I can see it happening.
No, that's
I can see it happening.
If the Bears get 1 and 3 – they get the quarterback, they get the receiver, and then they're good for next 10 years. Don't overthink it. Don't try to get too cute with it. Just get the number 1 receiver.
Even though if the haul is unthinkable, Tone.
Say that again.
Even though if a team, I don't know what team would do it, but a team that would come and try to get that number 1 spot and get an even bigger haul than what Carolina offered Chicago.
So in this we already talked about. We already talked about overpaying for Watson because you have to find your quarterback. We already talked about the Giants reaching for Danny Dimes. We already talked about all this kind of stuff. Franchise quarterback cannot be replaced.
Right.
That would you give that haul for a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now?
Would I what? I'm sorry.
Would you give that? I mean, there's not too many top 10 quarterbacks right now that I would give that haul that the Bears traded away for.
I give that haul to probably 4 or 5 quarterbacks. Right now, today, I would.
The top 5, you give that haul to?
I give that. Are we talking about the haul that what the Cleveland gave to Houston?
Right.
I would give that with the contract too.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking the Bears deal. I'm talking about whatever you want to do, whatever deal you want to cook up. It's not worth the top 10 quarterback. It's just not.
If you get 3 first-round picks, that's hard for me to say no to. That's hard, especially if it's a team that you know that's not going to have no future. It's going to take a while for them to get to the top, to get away from the top 10. If I know I can get a top 10 pick for the next 3 years, that's hard, brother. That's hard for me to say no to.
But you're still stuck with Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I like Justin Fields. He's not the worst. He's not like, I think he's a mid-tier quarterback that if you put a right system around him and right people, he can excel.
That's the decision.
I haven't agreed with Chicago's hiring for coaches.
Yes.
I don't agree with any of it.
I agree on that point where they've been awful with coaches and making Justin Fields viable, but out there on the field this year, he just hasn't looked good. He's regressed. Mm-hmm. And I'm not willing to sit there and stare at 2 quarterbacks that are have extremely high potential as that. Chris Wilson mentions Bo Nix. Bo Nix is not an option in the first two quarterbacks. Bo Nix is 27 years old, I think.
Listen, all these college
really?
quarterbacks have issues.
No, not that old, but he's old.
I watch these college games every weekend. I mean, these guys. I mean, Williams has struggled sometimes. May struggled yesterday against Clemson. I mean, these guys. I mean,
well, he had to Trez Walker right in the friggin' helmet with the damn ball. That was an absolute dime.
Yeah, true. I mean, but still, I mean, these guys. I mean, we all know aren't guaranteed. So
you're right, but okay, so they're not guaranteed. But Williams and May are already immediately better throwers of the football than Justin.
Absolutely, no, correct, absolutely.
I was gonna say that they are better. They are better, like I said, accurate passers.
5 wins. 5 wins does not cut it. Those guys could get 5 wins if you put them on the field right now.
If I were a Bills fan, I would prefer Josh Allen doesn't run at all.
Why?
Throws all over the field, just tears up because I don't want him to get hurt.
Josh Allen hasn't been.
I understand that. Josh Allen has one of these.
You might need to take Josh Allen out of your top 5, and Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, here we go. We could go on for days with this.
Trevor Lawrence is definitely
playing better than both of them. Guess who's playing better than both of them?
We're not looking at.
He's in your backyard.
We're not looking at compressed time frames. We're looking at just talent. You can do a lot with those people. You can do a lot with Justin Herbert too. They're 4 and 5.
Poor Ken Dorsey.
Damn right.
Poor Ken Dorsey.
Now champion right there.
We'll start today's slate of games in Carolina, who's going to get that 1 pick, and they're going to get help today in getting that 1 pick to give to Chicago when they are a 10.5-point favorite at home against a 6-3 Dallas Cowboys, laying over under 42.5. Dak Prescott, 3 straight games with 300+ passing yards and 3+ passing touchdowns. That is the 4th longest streak since 1970 in the merger.
Weird. Bryce
Young is averaging 5.4 passing yards per attempt. That is the worst in the NFL. Not great. Again, a lot of people are looking to, put some dirt on that grave, and Stroud's obviously better. He's better right now. We don't necessarily look at right now. I think you need to let the team around Carolina build to see what Bryce Young really is. He may absolutely be not as good as Stroud, no question. I just think it's too early to say that. For the Cowboys, they do tend to beat up on bad teams rather.
Oh yeah.
Struggled a bit on the road this year compared to at home, but there's one thing they do well is they do run it up against bad teams. You got a bad team here. Any intention you have of trying to find your way, trying to Pittsburgh Steeler your way into the NFC East Championship has to be a win here today. I think they're going to get that win. I think they should cover it relatively easily. You probably won't see Dak in the 4th quarter is the way that I kind of see this playing out.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't see a scenario where the Panthers are even competitive. Their offense is not good. Defensive for Cowboys is excellent. They haven't scored over 20 points, maybe once or twice, and hasn't been in a number of weeks. Bryce Young, he's hit a wall. I don't think he was elite. He's not somebody I would ever put in my franchise. Just not a huge. He just has too many question marks coming into his career. And I think the Cowboys pass rush kind of destroy him. I'd be surprised if he finishes the game, to be honest with you. The Cowboys are going to just destroy the secondary. Dak's going to have another 300-yard game. CeeDee Lamb's going to have a big game. He's been spreading the ball a little bit. It would be nice to see the Cowboys get a running game going, which even in a win last week where they had a huge lead, they really weren't too effective running the ball. The offensive line is just not a good run back in line for some reason. But this should be a what's that?
It used to be.
It used to be, yeah. But for some reason they're not getting the holes this year, and just I don't know if it's continuity or what. But Cowboys should cover this game. And the over/under seems extremely high for a team that I would. Panthers.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Cowboys team total is, but I would lean the under here because I think this could be a 28-3, 35, 3 ball game.
Yeah, this is a stat stuffer game for the Cowboys, no doubt. Definitely see them covering the spread today. They got it going on all cylinders. Like Brian said, they beat up on these teams that they're superior to, and it's not going to be anything different today. Actually, some things I like today. I I like Dak Prescott 3+ touchdowns today. Maybe a live bet I like is this if the Cowboys get up is the Dowdle run. They got running back. They got Dowdle.
Yeah.
Think he could be in there, get a lot of touches today. He's plus 320 right now
he has an injury. He was added to the injury report
really?
in practice.
Yeah,
So,
he was.
on that.
That's good to know. I noticed he was getting action in games like this late. He could get in, but keep an eye on him. And CD. I mean, keep it going. Keep feeding him, and I see all his over props hitting today also.
One of the over props that I'm on with him is I've been doing adjusted props with yardage and over 100 yards. You get plus money with over 100 yards.
Yep.
Take advantage of that.
Yeah. Since the San Francisco ass kicking, Dak Prescott has been in the top 3 in every quarterback category that you can look for. He's number 3 in QBR. He's number 1 in completing percentage as we stand today. And the QBR is literally 0.1 difference between him and Patrick Mahomes. And his yards, touchdowns has been great. I think it's 8 touchdowns to 1 pick since the San Francisco game. Dak Prescott's playing on another level. Got to give him credit where credit is due. He deserves his flowers, especially from Brian.
Because listen, they've been beating really good teams lately, Drew. They've been really, yeah.
He played against Philly. He played great.
He played real good for Philly. Played great.
So Cowboys should absolutely destroy the Panthers today. Survivor pick for a lot of people I know out in the world. I'm with you guys on the prop bets. I like CeeDee Lamb over 100. I also want to see more of a production value from Tony Pollard. I just want to see him get going. That's just me.
Get in the end zone.
I want to see him get going, bro. And the defense, Quick said it perfectly, man. This defense is gonna just have a heyday with Bryce Young, and with this offense is gonna be able to not deliver in this game. Mike Parsons is gonna have a game. I mean, it's the end all be all. Shouts out to LVE. I hope his body and his neck is okay moving forward. I know that's a career decision he's going to have to make in the offseason because I believe it's the second one in his career. So, give his flowers and his love, man. I hope he's going to be all right and move forward, be able to play in the game. Other than that, boys, there's nothing more to get into this game. I do want to question Bryce Young a little bit. What I see it for Bryce Young is nothing compared to the other rookie quarterbacks. I think Will Levis look better than him. So it's this is, I think the stigma of Alabama quarterbacks isn't looking really good. These last 2 quarterbacks, I believe it's him, and then it was Mac Jones. So it's not looking that great. I don't believe in or Shansky when he said that if Mac Jones went to Cleveland, they would be a playoff team. I don't believe that. It's here, there, near there. I'm not impressed with Bryce Young at all this season. So maybe that'll be a rookie slump, and we can see what he does do next year. But I'm not really that crazy about him. I wasn't when he came out of the draft.
You mentioned Will Levis, Drew, and one of the things with that is at least the kid's willing to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, 1,000%. Agreed.
At one point last week, Adam Thielen had 3 catches for 8 yards.
Yep.
Bryce Young does not throw the ball barely past the line of scrimmage, and I mean that's an issue. So,
why is that? Why is that a confidence thing? What do you think, Tony? Is that just?
Well, maybe he can't see over the offensive line, and like
guys can't get open.
Does that? But in your guys' you bring that up, right? Doesn't that make you feel like Drew Brees deserves a lot more flowers to be able to do what he was doing? Aren't they the same height, him and Bryce?
Well, yeah, I think that's what the comparison of Bryce Young was trying to be, and they're trying to make out. Well, Drew Brees did it, but listen, Drew Brees is special. He was special.
Yeah.
Lanes. He moved around a little bit better, and created some of those passing lanes too. That's why a guy like Kyler Murray, is like you've seen Kyler run all around, but that's what he does. He runs around. He doesn't sit back in the pocket and just try to throw the ball too often.
Right.
Bryce Young's gonna have to really try to develop some of that kind of stuff. And I'm sure he won't be in the pocket too often this game because he'll be running for his life.
Dallas D plus 350 to score.
I don't know how that compares to other defenses, but that seems low.
That is low. That's really low. That's the lowest you'll really see for a defense.
If you want to talk about something low, I'll give you something low. The over-under in the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game.
No.
It's 33.
Nice.
The 6-3 Steelers at the 6-3 Browns. Browns laying 2. Over-under is 33. Steelers, the first team since 1940 with a winning record despite being outgained in every single game this year. The Browns defense is tops in the NFL in both yards per game allowed and passing yards per game allowed. We talked about Cleveland at length earlier in the show. Whatever they're going to do is going to be on the backs of their defense in our opinion, and it's the best in the business right now. Don't know if it's going to be enough to get them to a playoff spot, but look, Kenny Pickett is Kenny Pickett. I don't know what to expect in this game, not against that kind of a defense.
How disrespected are you in regards to being the Steelers? You know, I mean, like you're 2 points against DTR with 33 points. I mean, this just shows you the state of Pittsburgh as a 6-3 team. It's insane. So
It is.
I think
coming in on the Steelers too.
I think DTR. I'm going to stay with the Browns. I like DTR to pull out the rest. I'm gonna go with the Browns on this one. I'll pick him to cover. Why not? Fryer with his back for the Steelers. Maybe that gives him a little bit of kickstarts that offense. But I'm gonna see if DTR can make something happen with his legs to pull out the win. Because Kenny Pickett hasn't really been what he needs to be. Although they've been pulling out wins themselves, I don't know how. But
yeah, this is so strange to me. Like I really have to lean Cleveland here, and a lot of money coming in on Pittsburgh. +2, it's just really strange. The disrespect there just shows how much they respect the Browns defense. Vegas sees Browns defense at home. Kenny Pickett, I mean, I've never seen so many quarterbacks this year throw for under 200 yards, and he's one of them. Like I don't think either quarterback gets the 200 yards today. Obviously, give me the Browns. Give me the Browns with a late field goal, something fluky happening. Yeah, give me the Browns today.
This game is just fishy, beyond fishy. Yeah, I was leaning towards Pittsburgh, gentlemen, until you guys started to convince me to go towards Cleveland. All this talk of their defense and this and that. Kenny Pickett hasn't looked great at all. I still can't believe how you go from being if they had a preseason MVP, right? It was Kenny Pickett. He was playing lights out.
Yeah.
Go to the real season where it matters. This man can't even find his own tail if he had one. That's how bad of a quarterback he's been playing.
Real quick baseball news that you two of you will be interested in. Aaron Nola in the Phillies, 7 years, about 175.
Oh, okay. Well, he didn't go to Atlanta.
Aaron Nola.
Real quick, too, David Jones asked a question in the comments about J.C. Horn. Is he out or something? J.C. Horn's been out. He's coming back today for the first time. Yeah. And this is not a good matchup because the rest of his secondary is out, too. So he came back and he's kind of he's not on Revis Island. He's on his own island out there in that Carolina secondary. So good luck for him.
Yeah. I'll just finish it up by saying I'm going to roll with Pittsburgh because I also love their defense as well. And I think their offense will do just enough in order for Pittsburgh to get a win today. So I'm gonna roll with Pittsburgh. I know I could go either way here, boys, but I'm gonna go Pittsburgh just because they have that type of defense that can also keep them in the game and help the offense in their insufficient ways. So I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh here.
First to 14 wins. Right, yeah. First to 14 points should win this game.
Yeah.
This is not going to be an offensive dynamo.
I won't be watching it.
No. A game, Anthony. a game Anthony's going to watch for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not. Is the 3-7 Chicago Bears visiting the 7-2 Detroit Lions. Detroit laying 8 at home, over unders 48. Bears have allowed 264.2 yards per game since week 6. That's the third fewest in the NFL in that time frame. Detroit, 6 straight wins against the North, the team's best run since realignment in 2002, and they have 5 division games left. Anthony, floor is yours.
Well, we got Justin Fields coming back today, as we all know. Don't know. He came out this week and said he's not 100%, so I'm kind of confused about that. We're going to see what we'll get out of him. Like I said before, this is the beginning of his audition. He's got to show the Bears something that gives them confidence to stay with him and build around him. Today's going to be tough. This Detroit Lions defense is really good. So I actually like the Bears today with the points. I'm going to take the +8. I think they may back in. I think Justin Fields could create enough offense today to keep them in the game, maybe with his legs, get back to running the ball a little bit. As you see here in your stats, defense has been playing better. They're playing well against the run. They're going to have to today against this Detroit tandem at running backs. I mean, Gibbs and Montgomery revenge game. I love Montgomery today. Anytime touchdown, it's -125. But I mean, it's almost a given he's going to try to score, or they're going to give him the ball down low.
Did you hear? Speaking of the running back touchdowns for Detroit, did you hear how they were kind of talking about who wants to score the touchdown?
Yeah,
that's pretty good. So it's a good running back room there, you know. So you could definitely think Montgomery is going to get in the end zone if he has the opportunity.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Detroit's going to win this game. I just think it's a little too many points for a division game. Fields coming back, I think Moore gets more involved. He's Mooney. So give me the Bears +8, but another L. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm on the different end, and I think this is going to make Ant feel a little bit better. Maybe, I don't know. I think Detroit's going to absolutely shellac them.
It's possible.
I give it +15 and or -15, and I still would take the Lions over that. It's going to be a rough game for Chicago. I think Justin Fields is going to have a lot of rust, and he's going to have to go through that in the first half. And the second half is just going to be too late, and it's going to be a blowout. St. Brown has been on a tear, so anything for props for him, I'm taking the over. David Montgomery and Jamar Gibbs is a beautiful tandem, and I think it's probably top 3, top 2 tandem in the NFL right now between those two. They're playing great. Their offensive line is I think top 5 right now. Sewell is playing out of his mind.
Yeah, their offense
talked about earlier. Their offensive line is one of the best. Also, give credit where credit is due with their offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, who's going to be probably the most coveted coordinator to get a job, Brian, in the offseason. Defense is my only issue with Detroit moving forward after this game. Detroit's got to tighten up on that defense. That defense is too loose. We saw against Baltimore, and the Chargers put up good points against them. And it's I need to see a little bit more of a commitment from their defense and following the rules and procedure that they need to follow in each position. Overall, at the end of the game, I'm taking Detroit. And if Jared Goff has another big game, we might need to put him into MVP conversation because he's having a great year this year as well.
Listen, we talk about the Sun God. He has 100 yards in every game except 2 this year. He has 6 straight 100 yards. Over 100 yards for betting props is +140, which is insane value. I mean, for a bet that's hit every week except 2. I mean, I'm taking that. I've been taking it for every week, and it's been beautiful. Jared Goff at home too is phenomenal, and they have the running game. I like Jared Gibbs over. I think it was like 44 yards, which I think is a very makeable number, even in that tandem. This game right here, it's just a game that Detroit has to go out there and impose their will. They're going to light it up, and I think the over 48 is a good tell on that because I don't think the Bears offensively is a team that really is going to be able to kind of keep pace with them. Look for Hutchinson to make a big play. Fields is going to have to use his legs. I mean, if Fields tries to right there and run, if he doesn't use his legs to make 1 or 2 big runs, they're going to be in trouble. I don't know if this game's going to be close outside of it being a division game with some heat to it. But give me the Lions. Give me the cover. Golf throws all over the place. One God has a huge game. Montgomery touchdown, like Ant said. Jahmyr Gibbs, you get a ton of yards.
You're even getting plus value on a Sun God touchdown today, plus 110. I mean, it's anything plus value. That's great. So
I asked Stuart Finer what he thought about this game.
Fuck the Bears! Fuck Chicago! Fuck you!
Stu went 0-5 last week.
It's my favorite. I was watching. That's one of my favorite clips. I love that clip. So yeah, no, I think
Stu's got the Bears this week, plus 8.
Yeah, no, listen, to quote a good friend of mine, Lions outright. Drew.
Yeah, brother.
Did you know that your Los Angeles Chargers are in Lambeau today as a favorite against the 3-6 Packers?
San Diego. Tony,
okay.
How can't you do it?
That's Spanish for whale's vagina.
They're a 3-point favorite at Lambeau today, over under 44. Justin Herbert, who people tell me stinks, by the way, has 16,438 passing yards. He just passed Peyton Manning and Dan Marino for the most passing yards by a quarterback in his first 4 seasons. There's like half a season to go, by the way, in this one. On the other side of the coin, Jordan Love, who stinks, has 6 picks in the fourth quarter. That's the most in the NFL. I am sick of the Justin Herbert slander. If there is one thing the Chargers got right, it's their quarterback. Everything else might be a problem, but he ain't the problem. Drew, floor is yours.
Well, it's easy to pick a quarterback when he falls in your lap. I'll tell you that much.
You know what? The Washington Commanders, Redskins football team, they didn't do that.
True.
So it's not that easy, is it?
They can't even pick a name.
There you go.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy how people value wins and losses so much for evaluating a quarterback's greatness. It's stupid. If that record was twisted upside down and around, he'd probably be the same as C.J. Stroud in the MVP conversation. But another topic for another day. Let's get into today. Jalen Guyton's out. He's inactive today, just announced this morning. So that's why they elevated the 2 practice squad receivers that we have that I have no idea who they are. But they are there. They're in Green Bay and they're playing. So that kind of concerns you a little bit because Guyton finally started getting his legs under his feet wet last week in the second half as he scored a touchdown against Detroit. But hey, QJ did something last week, boys. He was productive. So I want to see more of that. I want to see Keenan Allen has no handicap towards him, no restrictions today. He's going to be playing with no limitations, so that's good. Listen, the Chargers need to win. They have to win these games if they want to stay in the mix for the AC wildcard spot. They got Baltimore next week, so that's going to be a game in itself, obviously. So you got to win these games if you want to stay in contention. My 3 things here that I'm looking at for success is running the ball, owning the trenches with Austin Eckler. He had a good game last week. Let's see if we can continue that trend. And keeping Justin Herbert safe and uptight. Our right tackle has been one of the worst in the NFL this season at his position. And then obviously defense need to get out on third downs and stop having teams convert third downs on us. Fourth downs last week was tough. Detroit converted 4 out of 5 on fourth down conversions. That's a recipe for no success. And then I want to get personal with Brandon Staley. He's an effing idiot. I can't stand him. The things that he says makes absolutely no sense. His press conference after last week is, I love the personnel we have right now for defense. Everything is coming together. Bitch, what? What? You've had 3 years to get shit together. What do you mean that it's getting together? We're 30th in total defense. We've been 25th his rookie year as a coach, 20th, which I thought it's still bad, last year when we traded for Khalil Mack and all this shit, and now we're 30th. I can't stand this dude. I'm done with this cat. I want to move on from him. I know it might be wrong to say I don't want Bill Belichick because I know Bill Belichick's going to want GM and I don't want to give him GM. He sucks as a GM. So I don't want him being GM. So if that's what he's asking for, I don't want it. I don't need it. I'm good. I'd rather take my chances with Ben Johnson. But other than that, man, you guys can have the floor, dude. I think the Chargers should get a win. They should win today. But who knows?
And one of the things that's going to help the Chargers win is the fact that Rashawn Gary's been banged up, so that should help a little bit. He is going to try to play today, but he might not be as effective. But Jair Xander's out, so Keenan Allen should have a huge game.
Yep.
Because that's really what their stopping point in that secondary is. I think the Chargers, though, they need to be wary about the running backs for Green Bay if they actually can commitment to run. They got actually destroyed on the ground last week. Now AJ Dillon has looked solid last week, and Aaron Jones is still an effective running back. That's the only recipe I could see Green Bay winning the game is if the Chargers' run defense just doesn't show up to Lambeau. Herbert just needs to go into Lambeau and make quick work out of this. Austin Eckler should have a huge game receiving, rushing. He should kind of get back to some form that he's kind of showing recently. I'll take the Chargers minus the 3. And you're right, Drew. This is the San Diego Chargers.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Go ahead.
Actually, you talk about that San Diego defense and how they really got gashed last week. And really, that's the reason I'm taking the home dogs today. I'm taking the Packers today. I think they can run the ball. I think they can control this game at home. And I just have a feeling today the Packers are going to win. So give me the Packers on the money line. A sneaky good wide receiver that's been showing up for the Packers is.
I knew you were going to say.
Yep. So
so
he's plus 340 today to score a touchdown. So look out, with the struggling Watson and Dobbs getting some looks. He's been getting some looks. So I'm going to.
Who'd you say, Jalen Reed?
Yeah,
John Reed. Yeah.
Real quick, Nola confirmed 7-172.
Brian, I do want to say something because I know you've been saying it all year, and I want to come bounce back and piggyback to what you've been saying. This is a game that the -3 obviously, but this is a game the Chargers should win. Mm-hmm. And if they lose this game, Brian, I'm firing Brandon Staley immediately or the next day, and I'm giving the intern tag to Kellen Moore to see what he could do.
Drew, I feel like you
honestly
say this every
we say this every week, though.
Every week. Yeah.
If they lose,
I want the. Why is it that the Buffalo Bills knew right away to fire Ken Dorsey because he knew he wasn't doing shit? But for other teams, they want to wait till the season. Why? Why are we waiting for?
Well, so I don't.
There's nothing to wait for.
So I don't think it's that easy, right? In Buffalo, what I've seen happen over the last couple of years in Buffalo is Sean McDermott take more and more control and seeing less and less results. I think it's a Sean McDermott problem, right? So I think they can't. He can't fire himself.
That's fair.
So they're gonna do something, and that's the something that they do.
Who's Buffalo's?
And you could have fired
the same DC.
You could have fired the special teams guy.
You could have fired the guy bringing drinks, so somebody had to go.
Yeah,
that's true. Who's the DC for Buffalo Bills? Is it still the guy who used to coach the Vikings?
The defensive coordinator,
Leslie Frazier.
Leslie Frazier, right?
I don't think they have one.
I don't know if he's still there.
They don't have one.
But McDermott's definitely in the hot seat. I mean,
he is.
If they don't make the playoffs, I think he's out.
Yeah, I agree.
They don't have one. I think it's McDermott, which he was a defensive guy in his career, right? So
yeah. Plus Diggs, whatever's going on with Diggs. I mean, Buffalo. We'll get to it, but they're all over the place.
Yeah, I
got something to say about that. So we'll wait.
Listen, I'm a huge look. I think the AFC is so much better than the NFC, and I still believe that. But with the injuries going on right now, the Chargers have a road.
Oh yeah,
they have a road, and but you have to win the games you're supposed to win.
You're supposed to, yeah.
Listen, I think right now what we're looking at is that in the NFL is every team is week to week on the
everything stinks in the NFL.
Because
the first person.
It's a bad year.
Well, there's always parity, but with the quarterback injuries, I mean, listen, we talked about last week ad nauseum is how Cincinnati was on the uptick, even though they lost to Houston. But then it's like you're only as good as your star quarterback, right? You can talk about every team you talk about. These teams could completely different conversation by next week.
It's really unraveling to see how bad. Tony said it and Ant said it. we've all said it. Quarterback play this year has been really down. I mean, just an offense in total with how many safeties they have, how many procedures of safety they have for them to advance the ball, for them to play quarterback, and it's still down compared to last year. It's down.
And you can't and the defensive rules too, and the cornerbacks can't touch anybody.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Because if you look at something very simple to gauge was completion percentage, right? If you looked at back in the day, you got guys like Troy Aikman, who was one of the most accurate quarterbacks ever, and Dan Marino and Steve Young. I mean, they're barely sniffing 60% completion percentage, or mid 60s. You look at now, and I don't know off the top of my head, I haven't looked, but I looked at this in the past. Is the completion percentage in the NFL, they would be like 20th.
Yeah.
And it just shows you how much easier it is to play the position, but the execution isn't there, and that's the issue.
Do you think Do you think 10 wins it gets in the AFC?
Yes.
So the team's 10-7.
It's 10-7.
I do. I believe, Brian, the Chargers were 10-7 last year, right? They made it to the wild card, I believe.
I think it's possible. I think teams are going to beat up on each other where it's going to be close.
Yeah, I think 10-7 isn't a lock, but I could definitely see one team sneaking in there at 10-7.
Yeah.
The Chargers were 10-7. They were second place. So here's why I say that. So I look at the Chargers schedule the rest of the way. Let's say they win today. They got the Ravens next week at home Sunday night. That's tough, right? After that, you go to New England. It's a win. You got Denver at home. You go to Vegas. You host Buffalo, who knows, right? You go to Denver. You got KC at home the last game of the year, which might not even matter to KC, right? So I think there's 10 wins there.
Denver's not a walkover.
No,
Denver at home. We
suck at Denver. When Denver comes to LA or when Denver comes away,
yeah, you might see a split there.
Okay, I think they lose to Baltimore next week. After that, they might lose one game the rest of the year.
I mean, Buffalo at Denver
with their coach,
depending on what Kansas City's playing for, I don't think it's a given.
They could. I think that
I do, Brian. I do see your point of reasoning because Casey has nothing really to worry about right now. I mean, they're all small roads ahead with Cincinnati and now Cleveland losing out on their quarterbacks. I mean, we already saw what they did to Miami, so it's not really a thing of concern for them to take that number one seed. So, which is kind of crazy. Another year, another luck out, and I'm not gonna say luck, but another year where you don't have to face competition.
Well, Baltimore already has that 8th win.
Oh, Baltimore. That is true. I forgot about Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore has an 8th win, and they.
That's true.
That's
true.
And they haven't had their bye yet either.
No, they haven't.
Very interesting, right?
That's a good point. I didn't. Baltimore could.
Yeah, that sets up well for
them.
What's that?
What's Baltimore's record right now?
8-3.
What's Kansas City?
7-2.
Oh wow.
We'll see.
Never mind. It might have to go down to last week, Brian.
What is it?
That number one seed is beautiful.
It would be Chargers versus Kansas City in the last week of the season, and then Baltimore plays the Steelers.
Yeah. Right now. Yeah, Kansas City's got the 1 seed because they've only played 9 games. Braves have played 11.
Percentage.
Yeah. This won't be close. The Las Vegas Raiders visiting the Dolphins. Miami's laying 14. Raiders are 5-5. Figure that out. Over under 45.5. Aiden O'Connell, the first rookie quarterback for Vegas to win back-to-back starts. Miami is so much better at home. They're winning by 21 points per game, point differential, and 145.2 total yard differential when they are in the fun, warm climates of Southern Florida, where they are today. Miami's going to win this game, right? The question, do they cover the 14? If you're the Raiders, though, right? Again, everything always is just weird for them. They won a couple games in a row now with Antonio Pierce. He could be the first head coach, I think, for them in his first time ever to win like 3 in a row to start his career.
As an intern.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen today, but I guess it's possible.
Well, listen, the guys love him. But then again, that didn't matter last time they had a coach either. So we'll see. But they're saying all the right stuff about it. This over the thing that jumps out of me though is the over under seems a little low. I mean, I could definitely see Miami put up a ton of points. They get David H.
Yeah.
So I guess there's either not much love for the Raiders offense or there's some sneaky things out there that think this game's going to be a little bit closer. I like Miami. I like Miami to cover. Give me Tyreek Hill over 100 yards again. Give me a little bit of that plus money. I'm just not a big big fan of Aiden O'Connell coming into Miami where they've been great, especially coming off a bye week as well. I think Mike McDaniel's down there trying to get some things right, and I think you'll see a return to the explosive offense for the Dolphins this week.
Yeah, man. Johnny's back. A-Chain, or however you want to pronounce his last name. He's back, so you're gonna have a good duel between him and Mostert. But man, I expect a big game from Tua. Over. I believe it's. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but I believe it's over 260 for passing. Where is it at? Is that right here? It's somewhere here. There it is. 269. 269. Yeah, I take the over on that, dude. I also got Tyreek Hill over 6.5, and he's gone over 6.5 in the last 3 weeks. So those are two props that I'm looking at. Miami should destroy him, Brian. This is the game for the defense to get it together and make a stand after the bye week, and they should easily go to 7-3 and be a contender for the race for that number 1 seed. But overall, man, I mean, give big props to Antonio Pierce and the Raiders to be 5-5. They went 2-0. They beat the Giants, and I forgot the Jets in the last 2 weeks. I mean, there's two teams that are not that great, but that defense for New York Jets is tough, and they came out with the win. And we'll see moving forward how this team operates underneath Pierce in the intern GM, who I actually like a lot. He's been groomed in the NFL a lot. So I'm going to be rooting for both of them. I hope they get a title. Maybe if memory serves us correct, and I'll say it for Tone, man. If you take a team to the playoffs like the Raiders did, and I forgot to do his name. I know he went to Green Bay after, but for the fact that he didn't get a job is just super unfortunate. And I hope the Raiders don't make that same mistake twice. Antonio Pierce has these boys playing. They believe in him. Yeah, thank you. And so, so we'll see.
Something like that.
We'll see what happens. But yeah, I got Dolphins.
Yeah, the Raiders came out and said that they regret letting that guy go. So it really hurt them.
What's that guy's name? Brichetti?
Yeah, Rich Bisacca, I think.
Biscotti.
Okay.
My emails are going off. I'm seeing all these interesting moves by New World Order, Brian. What's going on?
That's planning for next week. I have open spots. I'm picking up high defenses for next week.
Yeah, but you know what though? Washington today is a great matchup on defense.
I have the Niners, so
against the Giants. Yeah,
I'm playing the Niners defense. I can't play the Niners defense. That's just more chest than anything else.
I got a question here, Brian.
Danny DeVito
to the guys. Devin Singletary or Marquise Brown? PPR.
Def.
Oh.
Yeah, pick one.
Singletary got a lot of touches.
I can't pick
Singletary. It's a no-brainer. Singletary
no.
Pierce is out. The Houston offense behind Stroud is good enough to get Pierce touches, and Pierce was too good last week to gamble.
I agree.
Yeah. I love it, but yeah.
Hate laying 14 points in the NFL, but
that was my answer. Yeah. If you're Miami, right? Like you gotta smell that blood in the water.
Sure.
Like the Bills are down, put them away, right? Like that's what you haven't done before. Like, so you have an opening to run away with it and give yourself maybe like a game late in the season where you can rest your guys if you don't get a bye, right? So yes, this is a great spot to get a 14-point favorite game. It's great. It's wonderful, but you have to produce now. You have to go and just put the knife to their throat.
If I agree with Drew, if they could find a way for their defense to start clicking, I mean, obviously they got talent on defense.
Gotta be this game.
If they could find a defense that could complement their offense, I mean, they're a really scary team. Plain
Brian,
simple.
Brian,
So, I mean,
Brian, they have a tough schedule ahead, right? And brought it up before. Their schedule is not cupcake. They still have
Dolphins?
Buffalo, and they still have the Jets twice.
Yeah, so
you still got to make them formidable opponents. That defense.
I'll tell you what.
disgusting.
Okay, so here's the rest of their way, right? They got Vegas today. They go to New York. They got the Jets next week on Black Friday.
That's a tough game.
They go to Washington.
Yeah.
They got Tennessee at home.
Yeah.
They got the Jets at home. Then you got the Cowboys on Christmas Eve at home. You go to Baltimore New Year's Eve, and you finish up with Buffalo at home, which again, they need to make that game not matter.
yeah, because you don't want to see Josh Allen.
No.
Even if he's down, you don't.
If that's an
agree, Ant.
If that's an AFC East championship game, I don't like it.
No, I don't either.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll tell you, and this is Brian. It goes back to my thing. I love you. Regular season games matter because I'm gonna tell you right now.
No, they don't.
Lose
No,
those they do. They lose
here's
those
why they
last
don't
3
matter.
games. The Chargers and Miami Dolphins will be tied, and they lost that
Here's
game
why they
because
don't
of
matter.
tiebreaker.
If you can't
They
make
matter.
but if you can't make the playoffs when 14 teams get in and 24% of the league wins a division, then you stink
No.
anyway.
No.
Each individual game is not
true.
that. It's just not.
That's not true because wild card teams have won Super Bowls.
That's
That's
fine.
not true at all. The Giants have won
I'm not
twice.
disagreeing. No, I'm not
The Giants have won
disagreeing with you.
twice. Those games matter. Those games matter.
If you about 40% of the league makes the playoffs. If you can't get in the playoffs, you stink.
No, disagree.
And a lot of the league stinks. So teams that make the playoffs stink. So let's call that what it is. Speaking of teams that stink, thank you for the segue, Drew. The 2-8 New York Giants are visiting the 4-6 Commanders, and the Commanders are laying 9 against an NFL team. I don't understand that at all. Well, I guess I do. Over-under's 38. This is going to be boring as hell. The Giants are 2-0 when Saquon Barkley scores a touchdown. They're 2-8, which means that they're 0-8 when he doesn't, says the math major. Sam Howell, 2,783 passing yards, leads the NFL. The last time Washington had a quarterback lead the NFL in passing yards was 1969. Sonny Jurgensen. These teams stink. These teams stink.
The fuck that is.
These teams stinks. Commanders, Sam Howell, take the W. I love the Commanders. I was saying Brian dropped the Commanders defense, and that's what was eye-opening. I love the Commanders defense.
Yeah, but you can't add them.
I mean, it's I believe I got the Cowboys in that league if I remember correctly. But then again,
then you're fine.
But it's like I don't see the offense in any way, shape, or form doing anything. The Giants. I mean, listen, they played the Cowboys, and that's a tough defense for the kid to play, and we kind of knew that. But they showed absolutely nothing where he should be an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, they got. I mean,
this is a gift wrap win for the Commanders to keep them in playoff contention.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the Giants doing anything. I mean, their offense is putrid. I mean, it really devalues Saquon. He's really not really helping you when everything's keyed on him.
If that injury happened a week before, I really think they would have traded him.
What? What injury?
To Jones.
Oh yeah. Is that? Oh, you're done yet?
No, I was going to say for this game though. I mean, minus the 9. I think the Redskins cover this today, but I'm all over Brian Robinson today. I think he's going to have a huge game, 100+ yards, touchdown. Last week he got rolling. Gibson's out, so give me everything today on Brian Robinson. I think he's going to have a really good game.
Yeah, they're expecting. I read it this morning or last night. They're expecting a good work or a good look at the running back that's going to replace Gibson. I don't know his name.
Chris Rodriguez.
There it is. Yeah. Quick with the save.
Just look at my dynasty roster.
Plus 290. Plus 290 to score. He's on there, Rodriguez. He's up there.
I wouldn't be shocked to see him come in and get some second half
late one.
A lot of lifts because it's going to probably be close to a blowout with DeVito, who lives with his parents. It's going to be one of those games, man. I do want to say, Brian, that that stat that you brought up about Saquon Barkley is complete horseshit. And I'm not saying you say horseshit. I'm saying in general it's horseshit because this Giants are not going to do shit. I hope he scores a touchdown and improves that record off because that's just stupid. And I just want to say this too. I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying
I understand. Maybe coincidental. That's fine.
Overall, man, this game is a blowout, dude. It should be a blowout. And Sam, you got to give Sam Howell his respect, and I agree with the boys. You know, he's proven to be the guy. You know, he's proven to be a good quarterback in the NFL, and we'll see what happens moving in. But I like the Commanders team in its totality. I think they're dogs.
They got good guys on offense.
They got good guys on offense.
Scary Terry. I mean,
Scary Terry.
John Dotson is a stud.
John Dotson, even though he didn't do much last week, I still think he's a star on the rise. And Logan Thomas found a youth. I think he's gone over 4 catches in the last 3 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's killing it. And then Brian Robinson, 50 Cent, aka 2.0, is just killing it, dude, this year. So this team has a foundation, Brian. This team has a foundation. I just want to see that foundation grow into the offseason. So hopefully we'll see it. Hopefully we'll be happy. I'm pretty sure they'll probably get a new head coach. I think Riverboard Ron is out the door, and I think he knows it. And we'll see what happens in the offseason. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a treat for the Giants. I said it on Tuesday, and I'll say it again. They've been in disloyal since they freaking fired Tom Coughlin. It hasn't been the same since. No structure, no consistency, and the management has been changed twice. The upper management, it's I don't know what they need to do, but they need to figure out fast because there's something wrong there in that organization. And I think it started when they signed Daniel Jones to that deal, when they could have easily just FT'd him and have him have a 1-year deal to prove it to see if he could go 2 straight years of being successful. It didn't happen, and now you're stuck with this contract, Brian. You're stuck with that contract.
Well, you're stuck with it for a year.
Give that contract. It made no sense at all whatsoever. If there was ever a time for running backs that don't matter, Saquon Barkley deserved that deal more than Daniel Jones. But even if I say that, Saquon Barkley doesn't change anything for the Giants. He needs an offensive line. They don't have that. They have no receivers. There's no one good there on that side. I don't know who's making the decisions up there, but everyone needs to be fired. Everyone needs to be fired.
Who is DeVito's back?
Yeah, I mean,
isn't it Matt Barkley?
I think it's Matt Barkley.
Oh my God, Matt Barkley. Jeez,
I was telling
you guys are making me pull names out my ass.
I was telling Tom last week, and Tom's better for me to preview that, like, A, the Giants should tank, B, it might happen on its own, so it doesn't really matter, right? Yeah.
Well, listen, this is how you tank. You put a unplayable quarterback at the quarterback position, starting ahead of Matt Barkley, who at least had some semblance of success in college, and next thing you know, Saquon might want to be a little gimpy today, and there you go. And they don't have any
exactly. And that's what I don't get, guys. It's like why hold on to something like Barkley?
No attempt to try to get a quarterback.
You can't get a return. Get something. I know there's a team out there that offered them at least a third or a fourth. I'll take that shit any day of the week.
You sure about that?
I'm not. Yeah. Why would I want to take a third or fourth for a guy that's not going to change my team?
I'm not saying that, but are you sure that the offer was there?
Oh no, I'm just saying if the team came close within that range, I would take it, Tone.
It's not about Barkley the player. It's about the salary. You got to have a team willing to take on that salary of a running back position.
But his salary shouldn't be that much. This year he got franchise tag.
Okay,
right? It's only like
you do it another year, it goes up more and more, and then you got to sign them or get rid of them.
It's just they were in a.
That's the thing, like I gotta.
Tony's ruining my fire now.
Well, I see I see your point, but that third and fourth might be fourth or fifth because of the salary.
Yeah.
And now, how do you sell that to the New York fans?
That's the thing. They were a victim of their own success.
Okay, now you're Evan Neal.
But this organization sucks, dude.
You sound like they're all linemen.
But it's true, dude. It's like the last year they made the playoffs, right? And now you're attributing to what Brian said about last year. They made the playoffs because of their effing schedule, not because of their talent, right? I mean, so it's now it's like, okay, should we question Brian Dabble and him as a head coach, or do we question? What do we question here? What's the issue? The issue is, to me, is the GM.
Well, I think.
But if you're Drew, but if you're the Giants, right? You went to the playoffs last year. You won a game. We can have a long discussion about should they make the playoffs last year or was last year a mirage? I thought it was a mirage as I was going through.
They beat the Vikings, right?
They did. Vikings stunk last year. Vikings are 13-4. They were terrible last year. No one tell me differently, right? But you can't walk away from your quarterback and your running back coming out of that. That takes balls to do. And there was no.
I'm not signing into a big time deal, bro.
But it wasn't. Yeah, but it takes two to tango, right? So they didn't give Saquon the money.
It's a mess, guys. It's a mess. Listen, question everything. That's what
they're going to have the number one pick.
Why am I signing Daniel Jones? I'm not signing Daniel Jones just because he went 15-5 in TD interception ratio. That's a product of Brian Dabble. That's not a product of Daniel Jones.
The GM needs to be questioned because of just poor performance, just in general. They really just haven't done a good job in New York. Dabble is still under question because, first of all, if anything else, he's a new coach. He's still under question. So literally question everything.
Even though he got coach of the year last year, that's crazy.
Well, I've seen, life comes at you fast, right?
I'm not.
I don't think he deserved coach of the year.
Last year?
Yeah.
Who do you think who should have got it?
Sirianni.
Oh, okay, sure.
Game stinks. Washington wins. Move on. If the Jaguars intend to hold off the juggernaut Houston Texans, then they better win today because the 3-6 Titans were visiting the 6-3 Jaguars, who also lost last week. -6.5 at home. The over-under is 40. Derrick Henry is one of two running backs, along with LaDainian Tomlinson, to average 100+ rushing yards and 1+ rushing touchdown per game career against a single opponent, which happens to be the Jaguars. The Jaguars, though, allowing the fifth best lowest rushing yards per game at 86.4. So I don't know if Derrick Henry is going to be able to do his thing. He probably will just from volume alone. But this is a game Jacksonville needs. Okay, look, you had a tough win last week, tough loss last week, but people saw it coming.
Really? Huh? Really? No one saw 34-3 coming.
People thought losing that game coming, maybe not the way that it happened, but people thought San Fran could win that game.
I did not see a blowout coming.
I had the Jags fucking plus money on the money line.
Listen, no one saw a 34-3. And Brian, before we start this, I want to hear your top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Same as they always are.
Trevor Lawrence is still top 5 quarterback.
It's a talent assessment. Yes.
Who is it? Is Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen,
no,
Joe Burrow?
Burrow's 2.
I'm naming the 5.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what have you saw this season that has made you think that Trevor Lawrence should be a top 5 quarterback? He doesn't throw the ball downfield. He just got shellacked against the good defense.
They're still working their way. I the fact that he came into the league with Urban Meyer as his first-time head coach, I think they're still figuring that out. He still has all the talent in the world.
No, they had Peterson last year.
I understand.
He played better last year
in the league. No, it's rookie year. I think it's fine. You can win with that guy.
He's been probably the biggest disappointment this year.
17 for 29, 2 interceptions, sacked 3 times, not pushing the ball downfield. I mean, it's
Calvin Ridley.
He's another disappointment this year.
But does it go hand in hand because he's the type of receiver that needs the ball pushed downfield? So I mean, it's like we're like listen. I think the MVP of this offense is very easily Trevor Etienne. So I mean, it's not a set. So this is a game where once again, it's a show me game. Trevor Lawrence needs to go out there and he has to dominate a bad Titans secondary in whatever way, shape, or form. It's not all about throwing touchdowns. It's about looking good. It's about moving. They should walk the ball up and down against this Titans team. And if they don't do it, and if it's the issue with Trevor Lawrence, then they need to reevaluate it. And you're not going to be able to move off him. And he's still a top 10 potential quarterback in the NFL. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that you got the top 5 quarterbacks. You're not naming Jalen Hurts above him because that's just ridiculous. Right. I mean, and I'm not a huge Hurts supporter, but at the same time, like you just kind of look at apples to apples. They play the same position, and one is throwing the ball a lot better than the other one. And it's not because Trevor Lawrence
1 yard.
Right. Trevor Lawrence has a good offense around him. He has a talented end. He has 2 talented receivers. He has an extremely talented running back. Offense isn't the problem. Pieces aren't the problem. You could say Matt or whoever you want to throw against New England. There's nobody to throw the ball to. They're just offensively inept. Jacksonville isn't. And I mean, even Kirk Cousins is getting production out of it. And Kirk Cousins had a much better season before Trevor Lawrence did. So this is a game where Trevor Lawrence has to, if he is a top 5 quarterback, as you think, he has to show it this game. And if he doesn't show this game, that talk is dead.
Brian, part of talent. I understand when you come from the talent perspective, but your IQ and your mind is also part of talent. That is something you have to work towards to gain.
Well, that's why I have Manning.
But how about Brady? But Brady over excels him in that because Brady's mind is more athletic than anything.
And Brian,
you look at Brian confuses talent with athletic ability.
No,
but Brian, does he have the intangibles? All those guys you were talking about. When it's the fourth quarter and you need
wait a second. Well, we're gonna start
that drive. You trust Trevor Lawrence to take you down and do that? I absolutely don't. I mean, and that's the reason I love the Titans today. I'll take
Lamar Jackson,
don't say that.
All playing much better.
I'll take the plus
6.5
because I have no confidence in Trevor Lawrence. He's lost He's lost games for me this year. He's lost me in survivor pools, losing against the Colts.
Listen, let's be fair. I have a fantasy team. I have 3 quarterbacks on. I have Trevor, I have Stroud, and I have Murray. I'm not playing Trevor today.
Who are you playing? Stroud.
CJ Stroud.
But that's fantasy football.
I understand that. I'm just making a point. Again, I don't get up and down on these single games, even single years. Trevor has all the talent in the world. He'll be fine.
Single games.
Single
the whole season, Brian.
Again, it's too compressed of a time period for me. I don't get too up and down on these games.
Right. He went from last year having Doug Peterson, right? We talked about it. We said, well, look, he's made strides because he's actually with the right head coach that knows how to coach the NFL, right? We agreed to that. He had a great year.
I think
this year.
It's a bigger problem it's a bigger problem with Tart, I think, because he gets pigeonholed into certain opinions about players. Like we'll say Dak Prescott, right? Dak Prescott came in the league. He did not recognize that Dak Prescott was better than Carson Wentz, and Dak Prescott continued to be. And Dak Prescott improved and improved and improved. Now I'm 100% in the last year or so, and half besides the last few games against superior. Prescott has regressed. But he never admitted when Prescott improved. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's not a straight line. It's not this. Like Trevor Lawrence is not good and he stays good. People improve, people regress. And Trevor Lawrence has regressed, and it has to be noted. And it's not a Doug Peterson problem. It's not a talent problem. It's a Trevor Lawrence problem. He doesn't throw the ball downfield.
This could be a delayed sophomore slump for him.
Delayed. That's the first.
Because I throw the first year out. Because I throw the whole first year out.
That's fine. And there's not going to be anybody who hates Urban Meyer more than some college coach he was raping. But we'll give him a pass for that one. But regressing in a situation that they just did nothing but improve upon for you is a bad look.
And this guy was supposed to be a no-brainer, right?
He was a no-brainer.
Look who went a lot of MVP conversations. But yeah, I got the Jags win today. I know I'll let Ann talk, but I'm going to go real quick. I'll let the Jags win today. I think it should be a breakout game for Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence needs to have a breakout game. He needs to have one of those singular big-time games. I hope it's today. I'm not changing my pick, and I hate you. God.
Listen, I don't have a faith and confidence in this team right now. So I mean, I think it's going to be a closer game. I mean, I just think this is going to be a closer game. To take the 6.5, you know, I'm just how I feel. Yeah. I mean, they could win, but I just think it's going to be a closer game.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jags. A name I want to stick out for the Titans is Simmons. He's playing great this year, not getting enough love. I want to throw him out there as a hog and D-tackle. You're talking about a guy, Brian, who's pretty close to Chris Jones, Aaron Donald status. It's this young man right here. He's playing bananas this year, covering up the A and B gaps, moving out to the edge. I think at one game I saw him do a twist with the DN. Absolutely amazing things that he's doing in the technique position. And I want to give him some love because if there's one thing that Mike Vrabel could do, he could coach defense. And I know their secondary is trash, but that interior that interior is nice. So I got to give love to Jeffrey Simmons there and how he's playing this year for the Tennessee Titans. Everything else, man. I did read a report last night for you guys. I don't know if it's going to if it's going to stop into today, but they said that Tajee Spears is supposed to get a bigger workload than Derrick Henry moving forward. So we'll see if that happens. I don't think it will. I think it's still going to be pretty evenly split. Besides the third down plays, obviously, when he comes in and is a receiving back. But we'll see. Just a little negative information that I read last night on
I got
on
one I got one flyer in this game. The Tennessee games that I've noticed is that Will Levis loves this tight end. I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say his name. He's been getting targets and he's plus 500 today to score a touchdown. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on that, but
there you go.
That's an outflyer bet right there. Like
Jags, Jags are 4-1 against the spread. Jags are 4-1 against the spread as favorites this year. 3 straight covers. They'll cover this. I think they win by at least 10, in my opinion.
Ooh, okay.
You know who?
Hey, is Mike Vrabel on the hot seat if they don't make the playoffs? Obviously, they won't.
I don't know. It's a transition year at quarterback. I think they're going to try Levis full time.
He's going to New England.
Now, if you're gonna that I could see. If you're doing carousel, I could see that. Yeah, look, okay.
I heard he might go to New England.
Belichick goes to the Chargers.
No,
Vrabel goes to the Patriots. Staley goes to the XFL. It all makes sense.
That's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Now you know who's really rooting for the Titans today? The Houston Texans.
Oh, yeah.
The Houston Texans will, at 5-4, host the 2-8 Cardinals. Houston's laying 5.5 at home, over under 47.5. Arizona's really bad in the fourth quarter, a 63-point negative differential. That's the worst in the league. Stroud averaging close to 300 yards passing. That's the most by a rookie in the history of the National Football League. He's playing really, really well. And Houston seems to not be out of a game. Look, that game, they went into Cincy last year. That's an onions game. Go into the Bengals and win a game the way they won that game. Got to give them credit for that win there. This should be an easy win. Numbers bear that out. Cardinals 0-4 against the spread the last 4 times on the road, 0-5 straight up. Houston should, but why? But doesn't 5.5 seem low to you?
It does.
I don't like that.
That's based on the way that Kyler Murray looked last week.
Yeah,
Kyler Murray's gonna keep you in some of these games, especially against teams like the Texans.
30 seconds. So, keep talking.
5.5. I could see it. It's the right line. This Cardinals team's tricky. I mean, they can hang in games. I don't know. I don't like this game today. I'll take the Cardinals plus. I'll take the plus 5.5.
Listen, what I'm looking at here is I like Singletary props. You know, he's going to be the bell cow here. The Tank Dell over receiving yards. He's been a surprise for him. Noah Brown. Noah Brown's out. Nico Collins should be productive.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the ball, Cardinals. Kyler Murray looked really comfortable running the football. It didn't seem like with old Kyler Murray. And I think his rushing yards was 33, and I think that's a little low. I think, he actually looked like he was looking to run a little bit. Trey McBride continues to be a stud at tight end, so he's helping some of these guys like me, especially who lost Darren Waller to the injury or ineffectiveness out there, and Dallas Goedert. So there's a lot to look forward to this game, especially fantasy-wise and betting-wise. As far as who's going to win, I think it's a crapshoot. I think the 5.5 is a little bit too high. I'll take the Cardinals plus the 5.5. We'll see how it takes us, but definitely not taking not taking the game as bet wise, but I do like a lot of the props that I mentioned before.
Yeah, I agree with you too, man. I love the props as well. I also love it's a crapshoot game, right? Kyler Murray looked great last week. He's able to move around the pocket. He looked the same kind of acceleration burst as he had before pre-injury last year. He looks good, and like Tony said earlier, man, he's able to create like passing lanes because of what he's able to do, which is a key ingredient to him being successful. Quick, one thing I want to add into that is for Noah Brown out is I like Dalton Schultz a lot in this game. I think he's going to get a lot of those third down conversions or those chunk plays that they need. C.J. Stroud is growing that little, that chemistry that he has. I love quarterback and tight end chemistry, and you guys already know that. I always look at tight ends and interior, and man, I like Dalton Schultz a lot in this game, just like I like Trey McBride a lot in this game. So those two things, I like the overs. I think Dalton's at 4.5 receptions, so I'm gonna take the over on that. And for me, at the end of the game, man, this is a big game for Houston. I know it's Arizona, Brian, but it's a big game, like you said. This puts them at 6-4, and if Tennessee wants to shock the world, we got a whole different conversation here in the AFC South, which everybody and their mama picked Jacksonville Jaguars to have the easiest division, easiest division win. I'm right there with you, brother. And it's been absolutely miserable. I would say miserable of a season for them. I know they had 5 straight wins before last week's blowout, but those 5 straight wins weren't that impressive. It reminded me a lot of the Pittsburgh Steelers of 2020, when a lot of people were pinning them up, but a lot of people were bringing them down because they weren't playing good. Jacksonville Jaguars were playing behind Travis Etienne, and if Travis Etienne isn't rolling, this offense isn't rolling, like Quick said. And so it's a lot of key factors into this game. C.J. Stroud's going to have a big one. I'm taking the over on him, 265 or 275 passing yards. I'm taking the over on the plus on that. He needs to have a big game. And, Brian, if he has a big game, we might be seeing Offensive Rookie of the Year and MVP if he keeps continuing on this trend.
But watch out. I don't know about you, Drew, but my take on the AFC South, it was partially the fact that I thought the Jaguars would be good, but I also thought everybody else would be terrible, right? So it's
yeah, of course, but you didn't think it would be.
I did not think by a thread. Sure, but I didn't think Houston would be 5-4.
No, I don't think no one did, and that's why you got to give D'Amico Ryans the credit where he is due, and the GM. I can't think of the GM right now, but the head coach D'Amico Ryans. I don't think there's anybody else that you would consider as a lead runner. Maybe Minnesota's Kevin O'Connell, but right now, man, it's got to be D'Amico Ryans is your coach of the year. I mean, it's been a phenomenal job what he's done. I keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it again. What he did in the preseason was brilliant, guys. He's the first coach that I have never seen come out and give out the number one QB1 spot until the last game of preseason was completely done. They headed into the week, and he says, C.J. Stroud is going to be our starter for the season. I love it. I loved how he handled that with grace. He handled that with opportunity, and he earned it by all of them. So I love it, man. I love what the Texans are doing down there. It's beautiful.
Shocking the world, right? I mean, nobody saw that. Look, how many conversations did we have? Maybe that was just me underestimating, but we thought, hey, Arizona could have the top 2 picks in the draft. Now it could be Chicago. It's funny how things change, right? Afternoon games start in the Bay Area, the 4 and 5. Tampa Bay Buccaneers visiting the 6-3 49ers. San Fran's laying 12. Over-unders 41.5. Mike Evans, 58 receiving yards per game on the road, 101 at home. Big disparity. McCaffrey, only player this year with 1,000-plus scrimmage yards and 10-plus touchdowns. So, this is a game San Francisco's got to win, right? Because you lost a couple games. Maybe you shouldn't have, but if you think you're a Super Bowl contender, and I think that they are, despite the fact that it's Brock Purdy, I think their team's really good. You got to win this game. I think you got to win it handily. There is a reason you were a 12-point favorite.
Can't blame me. You're not blaming Brock Purdy.
I'm not blaming Brock Purdy for anything.
No, I mean, listen, I think it's clear. You know, you get a healthy Williams back on the offensive line. You get Debo back. You get every point. Everybody's now clicking on the offense, and the defense was just lights out last week.
Lights out.
Now you got a mistake-prone quarterback coming in the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, and it should be an opportunistic day. I think the turnovers that the 49ers defensive force will give the offense a short field, and I think that they'll win this game handily, even though the Buccaneers came out and really surprised with a dominating victory over the Titans. So, you might see a little bit of defensive battle. That's why I think the over under 41.5 is pretty much spot on. But I think you're looking at like a 21-10 game or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. There's the more thing you add to this game. We all know that Baker Mayfield struggles when pressure is on his ass constantly. He has no lanes to look through, passing lanes to look through. They're going to create havoc. Chase Young had a stack last week, if I'm correct. So he's already making an impact, as some of us said last week. And I think that's going to continue because he has a Batman and he's the Robin, right? I mean, he has a Batman on the other side there. Nick Bosa's going to create a lot of attention, and he's going to get a lot of one-on-ones with no double blocking from the guard and the tackle on Chase Young. He's going to have that one-on-one opportunity to go and create havoc in the backfield. It's going to be a long and rough day for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got Brock Purdy just being a game manager and doing what he does best, which is being productive and making right decisions, because that's all he needs to do moving on. We saw the difference with Deebo Samuel last week. He creates a different dynamic on this offense. Regardless of his production or not, he just creates a different look for everybody. He makes everybody's job easier. So I got to give Deebo Samuel credit for that. Christian McCaffrey, 0.5 touchdown rushing and receiving, taking the over on that. He didn't score last week, and I'm going to the over on that for that one.
I mean, I don't. The odds have to be like minus 300.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah,
I'm going on Price Picks. That's all.
What's the odds for that?
It is.
I don't know.
Anytime touchdown is minus 220. Right,
that was close.
Yeah. So yeah, I got San Francisco.
2 touchdowns is plus 240. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to go against San Francisco after what we saw last week. I mean, they just manhandled Jacksonville like we saw. Yeah, give me the Niners at home. Steady dose of McCaffrey. I'm taking them with the 2 touchdowns. I'm going to try for that at the plus 240. So yeah, give me the Niners minus the 12.
Who did Jay Glazer say has the hottest seat in the league?
Brandon Staley.
The hottest seat in the league, the Buffalo Bills, McDermott.
Frank Reich.
Really?
Interesting.
Dave Tepper is not patient. He's a finance guy. Dave Tepper is not
There's
patient.
no way.
The hottest seat in the league.
Jay Glazer just reported that?
Yep.
Oh shit, he did.
That's right. Did you think, as I quote the sports box, do you think we made it up? I love that. That's my favorite response. Everyone
thinks make it up, yeah.
Like, do you think? I love that. Do you think we made it up?
We just out of the blue got it.
I just love this nonsense.
I just out of left field.
Yeah. I mean, they're 1-8. They're 1-8. They don't have their pick, right? When you make a deal like that,
but you have to expect that. You have nothing.
Do you hold on? Let me ask you a question. Let's reverse time. If you're the Panthers and you know you're picking 1 next year, do you make that deal?
If you're the Panthers and what?
You know you're going to pick first overall the next year.
Do I make that deal with Chicago to go get Bryce Young? No.
Of course not.
I don't. If it was CJ Stroud, different story. They chose Bryce Young.
Yeah, but yes and no, right? Because look, I agree with you. There's nothing around Bryce Young, so I'm not going to fault him for it. I don't know what Stroud will be doing in Carolina.
I would have never traded that haul for Bryce Young. I said that from the jump.
That's the important part. The QB class, even though CJ Stroud is surpassing what I expected, the QB class was not worth trading up for last year.
No.
And Bryce Young definitely not.
But again, so you're asking, well, why is Reich on the hot seat? Because the team made this move.
But that's not his decision. That's the GM, right?
You got to blame. He might be gone too.
You can't solely blame a head coach for the GM to make that move and get rid of DJ Moore, and then mid-season you're like, oh, we need to trade for a number 1 receiver that's young. Bitch, you already had one, and you traded it away.
And you can't blame your offensive coordinator, but that's exactly what the Bills did.
And that team's doing a great job with that number 1 receiver that they acquired too.
Yeah. The 4-5 New York Jets, 5-5 Buffalo Bills. Bills lay an 8 at home, over under just a hair under 40. The Jets have gone 36 straight drives without a touchdown. Maybe give the ball to your running back. Buffalo's the first team since the Atlanta Falcons of 1981 with a 75-point differential to the plus side or better through their first 10 games and not have a winning record. Again, I look at that. Josh Allen's not the problem.
I'll go.
Sorry,
I have an issue with Trayvon Diggs, and I'm sick and tired of seeing dudes talk for their brothers about shit that's going on, bro. Like Stephon is such a freaking diva if he's really going and bitching and complaining to his brother about Buffalo, then it's a two-way story because yes, you helped Josh Allen become a better quarterback, but bro, you didn't hit over 1,000 or hit over 95 catches until you got to Buffalo. So you can make that a two-way street where you both needed each other. That's the first thing. Second thing, what are you complaining about? Because you're not winning? Okay, that happens, bro. It's football. But Josh Allen's still feeding you the ball. So I don't know what he's complaining about. You got paid. Like Rob Gronkowski said, like, bro, you got paid. Chill out, dude. Like, you guys are not out of it. And it's true. They're not. They're not out of it. They're going through something. It's a cancer. And we've been saying it from the jump. Fogg said it from the jump. Their title picture is closing. And something needs to change. I don't know if it's Brian Dabble being gone. I don't know if it's Josh Allen regressing. I don't know what it is. The defense isn't playing that great. So it's a multitude, I think, of things that Buffalo Bills are just doing wrong. I don't know what it is. Maybe you guys can enlighten me into what the issue is, because we're talking about Josh Allen from 2 years ago, who everybody was arguing could be number one over Patrick Mahomes, especially after that performance against Kansas City at Kansas City, where they should have won the damn game. But since then, it's been very just like lethargic. The offense hasn't been the same. Is that because of Brian Dabble being gone? Is that Ken Dorsey not giving us the right offense or the right mixture or the right system that this offense needs? They got rid of Devin Singletary for James Cook. He hasn't done anything. So I don't know what it is, gentlemen. I don't know what the problem is. I'm going to go with Buffalo just because of Zach Wilson's ineptness and not be able to throw the ball and not have time and this and that. I think that team is just looking forward to 2024. But I don't know, gentlemen. I want to hear from you guys because this Buffalo Bills thing is just a mystery of all that talent they have.
I have never liked Sean McDermott as head coach.
Well, listen, I think the backlash from Trayvon Diggs for Stephon Diggs is just, it's common. It's what receivers do. I mean, it's what happens. I mean, you got a guy in Diggs who has 12, 13 targets a game and he only gets 5 targets and they lose. And then, he's going to be like, well, the reason why we lost is we didn't get the ball. Understand that. Also, James Cook hasn't been bad at all. I don't think it's a him. I mean, he had a nice run last week. I mean, he was the highlight of their offense last week. He had 12 carries for over 100 yards. And when you're looking at that, everything points directly at Josh Allen. And I think it's deservedly so. Listen, Josh Allen is physically talented. What he does between the ears sometimes is questionable. But you know what? It is that gunslinger mentality. To me, he is a Brett Favre type of player with more athletic ability, more rushing ability. And as Brian said, hey, listen, I want Josh Allen to run the ball. Give me all of Josh Allen's ability out there on the field every time. Because if you try to make these guys who are not drop back passers all the time, and you take away their ability to actually be football players, that's when you get in trouble. You see it when
I agree.
You see it in earlier. I think a lot of the Justin Fields issue for the regression this year is the same as the reason why Allen's regression is. They came in with the thinking of let's make this guy a traditional passer and keep him in the pocket and protect him and throw the ball. That's not what they are. Let them be football players because Josh Allen's a football player. You're going to have to live with some of the mistakes. Sometimes is that a coaching thing where you have to kind of maintain, be in his ear. Okay, end of the half, we can't have a mistake here. Hammering that in it, or is that something that Josh Allen is just debating and he's going out there? And I think that's the same. I see a lot of Brett Favre and Josh Allen, and you kind of you kind of have to take it or love it. And I think when the offense isn't going right and your star receiver doesn't have any targets, you're going to get a lot of rumbling. This is a game, Buffalo. This is. I'm not a big must-win game, but you know what? They already dropped it.
No, it is absolutely a must-win game.
It's a must-win.
They dropped the game to the Jets, and now they have to come out and they have to right the ship. They're at home. 8's a lot against this Jets defense and what Buffalo's been putting up. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo just boat raced them. everything clicks and everything like that goes on. So it'll be interesting. Give me Buffalo. I'll lay the 8. Over under is low.
Yeah.
Low. And that's
Yeah,
low.
that's low.
Like 8 points, but so that's kind of runs a red flag. It's not a game I'm going to be taking, but props wise, I'll take the Josh Allen rushing is the only prop I'm taking here.
5.1 yards per carry. I just want to throw that out there for Cook. That is good.
For Cook?
5.1 yards per carry for Cook. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Tony. You see a lot of Brett Favre, and you see a lot of the attributes he has from Allen. I mean, it's just confusing. The offense always looks just so discombobulated to me, and even
1,000%.
sometimes even the other night, I mean, he's hitting guys in the hands, but I mean, he's doing what we saw Brett Favre do, just throw the ball so hard, guys are just going right through guys' hands. I mean, we've seen it before. I think they just have to they have to find some kind of offensive identity. I mean, it just seems like spread it out and play. And unfortunately, Dorsey was the guy to take the fall. But for a struggling offense, though, this is not the defense you want to see. That's for sure. So I'm going to take the +8 on the Jets today. I think they could hang around. I like Hall today against this Bills defense has really struggled. So, give me the Jets +8.
I love what Ann said, man, and it's 100%. I think Quig would agree. You would agree, Brian. You got to have an identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's their identity?
It's Josh Allen running the football.
It's just it's shock. It's shock.
That doesn't work.
It seems like there's no creativity in the offense. You just really don't see it.
Very, very stagnant and vanilla, right? I mean,
not even screens, creative screens, nothing like that. It's really
backyard football.
Yeah.
But they got to win today.
They're putting too much on the shoulders of Josh Allen.
To Josh's.
I agree, Josh.
Breaking news: Jimmy Johnson will be inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, him and Jerry Jones actually met on the field today prior to the game in Carolina, which was interesting, and so it's good.
Can you real quick story? Why did he get fired again?
They don't like each other.
They don't like each other.
You don't like it after winning a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think Jerry wanted more of the credit than Jimmy got.
Yeah. It was an ego battle.
We were talking about Aaron Rodgers' ego. Jerry's got an ego.
So I never knew the story about that. The backstory behind that.
Jimmy Johnson's the man.
I love Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson was the man. That is true.
And then Barry Switz won with his team. The Rams are a 1.5-point favorite today at 3-6 against the 6-3 Seattle Seahawks. Over under 46.5. Our running back Kenny Walker's got the most 20+ yard runs over the last 2 years with 15. The Rams struggle to get to the quarterback. 112 quarterback pressures is the 5th fewest. That has not been a calling card of the Rams in previous years. That line is very weird. Or is it just me? Am I reading too much into that? Or is it just really weird? I'm looking to see if I typed it wrong.
Division game.
It is -1.5.
Rams beat him earlier in the season.
They did.
Back. Seattle's passing defense isn't very good. Puka and Cooper Kupp could come crazy. I mean, listen, this game being a pick'em isn't that big of a shock because I think the Rams would have a much better record if Stafford was healthy and Cooper Kupp was healthy. I don't think it's an awful team. Seattle was in a battle last week with Detroit. Detroit? Yeah.
No, not Detroit.
Detroit. Also Detroit. I forget who it was.
It was a high scoring. It was a high scoring game.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a damn blank here.
Me too.
Who?
They won a close scoring game against it. Who was that?
Who was it?
Oh
I
God,
can't remember. I know that Lockett touchdown won me some money that he scored on. I know
Walker got a touchdown too. Got me money too.
Yeah.
it was Washington.
Washington. Yeah.
He struggled at home. I know it was. I don't know why I said Detroit. I know it wasn't a great team. He struggled at home against Washington. Sam Howell lit him up. I think Stafford's going to do the same. The line stinks. Everybody's going to be on Seattle. Give me the Rams, Stafford, Puka, Cooper Cup. Sneaky PPR play in fantasy would be Darrell Henderson. So that's where I'm at right now.
I'm going Seattle too. I'm going to Rams too. I'm with you, Quig. Everything you said was right on the money. I love everything. See, the issue for me where I'm leaning towards Rams is because Geno Smith. I just feel like he is just not what he was last year. Right? We were seeing the Geno Smith of true. The decision making he's making has not been 100%. He hasn't protected the ball like he did last year. It's just a multitude of things that I'm just not liking from Geno this year, and I think that's going to be an issue against Sean McVay and this defense. The offense is going to show up. Stafford's semi-healthy, I guess I would say, but Cooper and Puka, I think they're going to do their thing against this secondary. Jamal Adams cannot cover for the life of him, and
Jamal Adams. Oh God.
For me, I think Higbee might be a nice little play here as well. But I love the Darrell Henderson. Is what's his name playing today? The running back, the starting running back.
Kyron Williams is not playing today.
Kyron Williams is out. Okay, so I like the Darrell Henderson little add-on there for fantasy purposes and for props.
I'm going to grab the little bit of plus money here and take Seattle on the going to the Rams. It's plus 108. I watched that game last week with the Redskins, a little bit of it. I mean, Geno did lead them down the field at the end, score to get those points to win the game. So, I mean, I think this is going to be a close game, but I'm going to grab the plus money here and go with Seahawks money line. And a Walker touchdown. I'm going to go.
The line might be right, but I think Seattle owes them one from earlier in the year. I don't.
Yeah, and that too. You see the split.
You know what the thing? I mean, Drew mentioned it real quick about the Geno Smith. He had a great game last week. Threw for season high.
Yeah.
So let's see if he kind of maintains that momentum because he has been bad this year. I mean, as bad as a 6-3 quarterback could be, I guess you could say. But he hasn't been what he showed last year. So it'd be interesting to see if that momentum continues where his play starts to increase, or if he kind of jumps back, is quickly brought back to earth.
Love you guys. I'll talk to you guys later.
See you next week. The Sunday night game every week. The 6-4 Minnesota Vikings against the 4-5 Denver Broncos. Denver's laying 3. The over/under is 41.5. Minnesota, the 5th team since 1950 to have 5 consecutive wins using 3 different starting quarterbacks. The much maligned Broncos defense has flipped the script since week 7. They're only allowing 16 points per game. That's the fewest in the NFL. The 70-point destruction by the Miami Dolphins seems like a long time ago. Russell Wilson is definitely the best quarterback in this game. Can't say that for too many anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos have been playing better. I mean, you got to give them credit. The defense has got some stability. They've been Russell Wilson's been playing better. I like the Broncos here. I'm going to take the Broncos at home. Maybe I'll buy that point down. Take the Broncos minus 2.5. I think it's going to be a close game. I like the Broncos D against Dobbs here. I think this is come back down to earth game maybe for him. So give me the Broncos. I'm going to take it down to 2.5.
No Justin Jefferson again was kind of surprising.
No, it's not.
Well, no, they're supposed to play next week.
Well, he's
Listen,
not.
he's talking about tanking. Yeah. There's no reason for him to be playing. I mean, it's just
they're not tanking.
He needs to get if they win today. Game. If they win today, he's got to. I mean, he's got to get his money though. He's thinking about the future.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see that.
All he wants. He's definitely thinking about the money.
Listen, if they're tanking, that's the worst tank job I've ever seen. Okay.
Listen, bringing Josh Dobbs. Listen, no one. Listen, their initial play was to go a Hall and stay with Hall. He got hurt, and then Dobbs comes in, and next thing you know, like I said the other week, was a Joe Webb-esque performance, and he's out there just working it down, again and again. But this Denver defense is for real. I mean, they were a joke after Miami hung 70 up on them, but since then they've been solid. I mean, think you've seen time and time again where that was more of an anomaly than actually what kind of defense this is, and I think this defense is going to be all over Dobbs, Madsen, and Ty Chandler now in a split in the backfield for the Vikings. I don't think that really matters. I kind of would love to see the Vikings just destroy the Broncos because Portland Sutton and all these guys this week coming up with the Russell Wilson apology form, and everybody owes Russell Wilson an apology. That nonsense is just nonsense. I think if anything, Russell Wilson owes the fans and people of Denver an apology for how bad he played last week.
Still got 4 wins. Still got 4 wins.
Right, and yeah, exactly. So I think that all that nonsense is a little premature, but I just don't think that's happening. I think Sutton again has a nice game. I think Russell Wilson does a pretty decent job. And I think they win and cover. And if I do have some money, I will be betting on the Broncos -3.
Yeah, on the Viking side too for fantasy and for betting wise. I mean, TJ Hawkinson with the addition of Dobbs has been a monster. So. His receptions, his yards, anytime touchdown. Today, anytime touchdowns plus 250. I think that's great value. He's been a real big target for them. So on the Minnesota side, that's what I look for.
He hasn't really been a touchdown guy though.
No,
I mean, with Dobbs, he's found the end zone I think twice, but other than that, I mean, what's he have? 3 or 4? He only has like 3 or 4 touchdowns all season. But he's getting a ton of targets. I think he's getting mid.
Yeah, big target.
I think he had like 15, 16 targets last game. So it's like, he's tight end's best. A young quarterback's best friend is a good tight end. So
yeah, yep.
Well, speaking of a good tight end, we have a Super Bowl rematch on Monday night as the 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles visit the 7-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs laying 3 at home. Over under is 45.5. Again, the rematch of last year's Super Bowl. Eagles third in the NFL, 154 quarterback pressures. KC's protected Mahomes very well. I've only allowed 12 sacks. That's the fewest in the NFL. Eagles in a bit of a uncharacteristic tough stretch of games. They haven't really lost, so good for them. What's your take on this? You probably know where I'm going with this one, but I'm curious to see what the two of you think.
Ooh. Yeah, it's a tough one.
I don't think it's that tough.
You don't think it's that tough?
No.
I think the Eagles are a better team, to be honest with you. I just think, it's a tough one. I'm buying the half point. I'm taking the Eagles on the road. I really think they're the more complete team. The problem with the Eagles is how their secondary is going to react, and I think they match up well with this mediocre wide receiver core for the Chiefs. And I think if they could get some pressure on Mahomes, it could be an issue.
We live in this area, and you're forgetting the Andy Reid off a bye statistic.
True.
Andy Reid is 21-3 outright off a bye week in his career.
Yeah, I think what Dak Prescott was able to expose the Eagles secondary, Pat Mahomes is going to even more so. The signing of Kevin Byard from Tennessee, he's supposed to be matching up with Travis Kelce. I don't think that's going to work out too well for the Eagles. I think Travis Kelce, Mahomes connection should have a huge game against them. Kansas City's defense as well has kind of shown that they could step up. So I think I do like Kansas City in this game at home. I think that's excuse me, this show went a little bit longer today than normal. Almost at my nap time. No, but they I think the at home factor on a prime time coming off a bye. I mean, prime time off a bye home team. I mean that play must be huge. So I'm going to take Kansas City for that and that only. And like you said, I say the turn up of their defense. But if this was a neutral court field Super Bowl, I think I might lean Philly though. If this was like a Super Bowl rematch, I think I would like Philly in this game. But right now, with all the other factors outstanding, by prime time, poor secondary, I think Chiefs take it again. I'll lay the 3.
Yeah, watching local reports this morning, they're calling for bad weather too in Kansas City. So you see 45.5. I mean, this game, both teams, they could just switch it up and run the ball. So, we'll see what happens weather-wise.
If that is the recipe, I think that bodes better for Philadelphia because
Sure.
Pacheco hasn't been running the ball as he started in the season.
I mean, this is going to be a good game.
We'll wrap it up right at 1 o'clock. And just one more time.
Fuck the Bears! Fuck Chicago! Fuck you!
Love Stu.
This used to be a family show. I don't know what happened.
Not today. It's not. That went out the door very early. Anyway, listen. That's week 11. Make it a fun and profitable one. We'll catch you next week for week 12. On behalf of Drew, Tony, and Anthony, have a good day today, and we'll catch you.
All right, boys.
Aaron will love it. 24 per year. I'll take it.
That's it.
It broke down to? Yeah, that's not a bad deal. All right, guys.
So,
Peace.